Yan, good morning po ulit sa ating lahat. Welcome po sa ating webinar on Action Basic Research Preparation under the New Normal. Yan. To our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Maria Celia Honyo Fernandez, MDM, SEC. To our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Aguido C. Fernandez, CESO 6. To our resource speaker from the Policy Planning and Research Division in the Regional Office 1, Dr. Leia L. Olwa. To our Chief in the SGOD, Ma'am Maria Linda R. Bentinilla. To our Chief from CID, Ma'am Venus Maria SMS Tonilo. Our EPS, or Education Program Supervisor from SGOD, Dr. Marisa O. Perez. Our program proponent, Dr. Maria Victoria S. Antonio. Select school heads, current pool of researchers, forthcoming research proponent, OSDS from CID, SGOD, and from the Technical Working Group. Good morning and welcome to the webinar on Action and Basic Research Preparation under the New Normal. To formally start our webinar, may we request everybody to please stand for the opening prayer to be followed immediately by the national anthem and etiquette through an audio-visual presentation.
The Bucan City webinar. To start with, let us all focus our attention to some reminders featuring the participants' webinar essentials. First, make sure you have a stable connection. Make sure that you have a stable internet connection before attending the webinar to avoid missing important portions of the event because of avoidable connection issues. It is disrupting to ask the host to repeat whatever it is you missed because of an unstable connection. Put the microphone in mute mode. Encode your concerns on the chat box and unmute only when acknowledged to do so. If the host opens the computer or phone line so that attendees participate, remember to keep your phone muted unless there's a need for you to speak. This is to prevent unwanted background noise from distracting the host and other participants on the call. If you are not the person currently speaking, it is recommended that you mute your microphone. To mute your microphone, select the microphone icon in the bottom left corner of the call interface. When the icon has a slash through it, it's muted. To unmute yourself when you need to speak, select the microphone icon again. Next, clear the background and avoid disturbance. Open your video only when you are requested to do so. Make sure you are aware of your surroundings when enabling your video. Bright lights and movements or other distracting backgrounds may detract from others' ability to be able to concentrate on the topic at hand. Be an active participant. Watch, listen, react when necessary. Use the chat box and wait for acknowledgement. Don't hesitate to respond to the host's questions or your co-participants' comments and suggestions. Feel free to share your inputs and answer polls because this gives the host an idea of which subtopics you are also interested in so that the host can include that in the discussion as well. Next, be respectful. Don't talk when someone is presenting. Address each one with respect. While it is encouraged to actively participate in a webinar, you are supposed to only ask and share topic-related information. Wait for your turn to ask a question and never openly disregard another participant's input just because you don't share the same sentiment. Avoid advertising any personal product or service during the webinar. Next, take note. Capture the essentials for reference. The main reason why you attend a webinar is to learn. Taking down notes will help you remember key points from the webinar, which you think will be the most beneficial to you. And lastly, provide feedback. Make such short and clear. Let the host get an understanding from an audience's perspective by providing feedback on how the webinar turned out. Help them improve by suggesting things that you think they can work on to improve future webinars. You can also cite other topics that you look forward to being discussed next. And now let us have a recap of our participants' webinar essentials. First, make sure you have a stable connection. Second, put the microphone on mute when necessary. Third, clear the background. Fourth, be an active participant. Fifth, be respectful. Sixth, take note. And lastly, provide feedback.
Okay, and to acknowledge our participants of this webinar, let us welcome our Education Program Supervisor from SGOD, Dr. Marisa O. Perez.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's an honor to present to you our participants for this webinar on research. So let's start with our Schools Division Superintendent, Madam Maria Celia Junio Fernandez. Our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Aguido C. Fernandez. our Chief Education Supervisor of SGOD, Ma'am Maria Linda Ventimiglia. Our proponent and SEPS Planning and Research, we have Dr. Maria Victoria S. Antonio. Our OIC, EPS2 of HRDU, Ma'am Diana Iris Solis. And our researchers, let's start with the Dagupan City National High School, Junior High School. We have Princess Cabison, Herbert Perez, Dr. Renato Santillan, Princess Grace Kim, and Mom Glyza Gutierrez. Thank you. Let's start with from the Bunuan Bukid National High School, represented by Ma'am Salvacion S. Malanum and Ma'am Melmar Ferrer. From Caraol National High School, we have Dr. Marconi Taroma, Sir Philip Mendoza, and Kristen Abigail Ortiz. From Jetsu de Venecia, we have Richard Kayabyab. From the Guban City National High School Senior High, we have Mildred Balanza, Charmes Valdez, Rowella Barcelona, Widmark Balmores, Marian Goral, Lizelle Duque, Digno Lozano, Maria Belinda Lomame, Chris, Digno Lozano, and their principal, Dr. Renato Santillan. From Pugaro Integrated School, we have Maria Belinda Lomame. And last but not the least, from Salapingaw National High School, Ma'am Cristina C. Aquino. Thank you and good morning po sa lahat.
And thank you very much, Ma'am Marisa. And now let's proceed to the presentation of the objectives of this webinar. And to present the objectives, let us welcome our Chief Education Supervisor from SGOD, Ma'am Maria Linda R. Ventimiglia.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Hello. We're having.
Chief.
Is it okay? Because
Morning, Chief.
Okay. So kindly flash the objectives. Hello, kindly flash the objectives now.
Yes, Chief. We're having a delay.
Okay, I hope you bear with us, dear family and friends from our SDO, because as we have been experiencing some problems with our connectivity. Okay, so for guidance and direction, of course, we have the objectives of this particular webinar. For our terminal objective, we would like to ensure preparation of new research outputs by forthcoming researchers and completion of the manuscript by current pool of researchers. For the enabling objectives of this webinar, we wish that at the end of the session, the participants must have been fully oriented and clarified on the formulation of action research and basic research titles and questions, as well as on the second, they are properly coached on the appropriate tool and or design to which they are going to use. And of course, our expected output is a sample title and research questions to be sent online at the end of the session through the SEP's email address, which will be flashed to you later. Now, we would like to inform you that we wish to attain all these objectives at the end of the webinar. So please bear with us and please participate actively in this particular webinar so that we can at least submit all our expected outputs and be able to get our certificates. Thank you so much and good morning, everyone.
And thank you very much, Chief Linda. Good morning. Ayan po yung mga objectives natin. At least may guide po tayo habang nakikinig po tayo or nanonood dito sa webinar na ito. And now, to introduce to us our resource speaker, let us welcome our Senior Education Program Specialist from Planning and Research Division, Dr. Maria Victoria Is Antonio.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Irish, and to everyone who is attending today's webinar on the preparation of action research, basic research outputs under the new normal. Our resource speaker exudes a very low-key personality, in spite her commendable background and accomplishments. She has long, formidable years of work experiences to speak about in the field of academic research, even administrative outputs. She was formerly a professor of mathematics and research at the Pangasinan State University, at the same time designated as practice teaching supervisor of the said higher education institution. With the start and setting up of the senior high school curriculum in 2016, she decided to transfer to Urdaneta City National High School as Master Teacher 2. Here, she was assigned again and appointed as Subject Group Head of STEM or STEM. She was assigned to teach general mathematics, statistics, calculus, and of course, research. In 2019, she was promoted as Education Program Supervisor at the Policy, Planning, and Research Division of DepEd Regional Office 1 in San Fernando City. She hails from Villasis, Pangasinan, where she and her husband, also an Education Program Supervisor at the Schools Division Office of Urdaneta City, are currently residing. Immediately upon her entering the DepEd Regional Office last year, she succeeded in gaining recognition for her own research output, which was awarded as one of the 2019 BERF grantees. Along with other grantees, they are now working on the completion of their IMRA journal writing output, phase 2. Additionally, she comprises the eminent panel of the Regional Research Committee evaluators who perform screening and review of submitted outputs for Basic Education Research Fund, or what we commonly know as BERF. Thus, her initial lecture will include her own observations of the most interchanged or often omitted parts of an action and basic research output among equally other important elements. I am very certain we will gain very valuable information and techniques from our resource speaker as she walks us through her systematic, efficient, and logical approach to preparing an action or basic research study under the new normal. Let us all welcome then our very beautiful and highly competent lecturer and resource speaker, Dr. Leia Liwanag Olwa.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Vicky. Happy Friday morning to all.
Yes,
Naririnig
ma'am.
po ba ako dyan?
Yes, ma'am, you're loud and clear. Thank you.
Good morning, SBO Ordaneta. Also, oh sorry, galing kasi ako sa Ordoneta. Good morning, SDO Dagupan.
Okay lang, ma'am. I just like
Sanay
that.
akong sa Ordoneta na babanggit ko kasi before.
Opo.
First of all, I would like to thank our SDS, Ma'am Celia Junio Fernandez, our and also our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent. We have Sir Aguido Fernandez. And also our SJOD chief and CID chief, and also all the people behind this activity. And of course, we have the superwoman behind this activity, Ma'am Vicky Antonio. Yeah. Actually, this is in time this, because we have just crafted our policy and research agenda in the region. So we come up with a shift from the old the traditional way of conducting research, and now the focus is the new normal, and there's a need for us to shift with this to be able to grasp the current situation. And thank you so much. This is a good jump start on the part of SDO Dagupan to have this research undertaking. And let me now show you my research presentation. I-share ko lang, Ma'am Vicky.
Opo. Opo, ma'am.
Ayan.
Kayo po bang mag-share, ma'am, or kami pa? Ayan.
For a while. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
Okay na. So, my talk will be focusing on the title of the research, including the research questions and the research design, and a little bit portion of the statistical tool. But aside from those, I will be mentioning also some of the most common, shall we say, mistakes or errors, or a shift of the normal of the correct format from those research presenters during their oral presentation. So we focus first on our research. Why do we conduct research? Bakit tayo nagre-research? Bakit ang laki ng pondong binibigay sa research? So, according to Charles Kettering, research means that you don't know but are willing to find out. Meaning, there's a gap between what we know and what we do not know, and that we are willing to find it out. So, we are going to conduct our own research. Now, where do we get these problems, or where do we get these titles of our research? Basically, at some point, teachers, the school heads, and even other personnel will come across problems in the workplace that they would like to address. I think most of you are teachers, ano? Karamihan teachers, ano, Ma'am Vicky? Meron bang nahalong school head?
Yes po, ma'am. Tatlo po ang school heads natin,
Okay.
pero the rest are already teachers, master teachers,
Teachers.
and opo.
All right. So these problems may stem from different angles in the schools or in our workplace. No, it could be in the school. It could be on the part of the management. It could be relationship with coworkers. It could be the school facilities, the school climate itself, or the school process. And on the part of the students, it could be a problem on their behavior. It could be their academic performance or absenteeism. These are just some of the problems that you encounter. And for the instructional practices, this could be the teaching strategies. Now, to conduct our research and you would like to have it under BERFA, no? Syempre, mas maganda mapunduhan yung research nyo. And I will just show you. I think mapunduhan man or hindi, even in your division, we follow the same format. This is the DepEd Order number 16 series of 2017. This will be the minimum requirements for the research proposal. For the basic research proposal template, although you can see this also in the DepEd Order 16 series of 27, let me just give you a brief dry run of this, no, para makita nyo. So we have here, the first one is the introduction and rationale. We have the literature review, research questions. You also have the scope and limitation. By the way, I will not be discussing all of this. I will just run through this one para makita natin yung difference ng basic research at saka action research. So we also have the timetable and or the Gantt chart. Next is the cost estimates, plans for dissemination and advocacy, and the last one is the reference. Let us take a look at the action research proposal template. No? As you can see, they're almost the same. Parang parehas din lang. But let us try to look at the difference between the basic research and an action research. Of course, in an action research, that is carried out in a specified length of time, around the 6 months lang siya. Madali lang siyang gawin, maiksi lang siya. And action research is what we call the problem-based. Ibig sabihin, excuse me, there is a problem that you would like to take an action. Unlike in basic research, which is longer, no? It will take you around 1 year to finish this one. Not necessarily in a scenario that you will encounter a problem that you would like to solve. Hindi parating may problem sa basic research. Maybe it would just emanate from your curiosity, perhaps. Mga ganon. And you would like to see the difference between this process and the other process, or the effectiveness of this process, then you can go through basic research. Not necessarily na makita nyo yung problem doon. So for the difference between the two, under the basic research, you have the literature review, scope and limitation, and ethical issues, which are not found in the action research. For the action research, you also have the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy, and the data analysis plan, which are not found also in basic research. The reason why we have the proposed intervention, innovation, and strategy here is that you are seeing a problem and you would like to address the problem. Kaya meron tayong intervention. And of course, with this intervention, we are going to make a data analysis plan. So that is the difference between these two. I just would like to focus on the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. Based on my observation, every time I read some of the manuscripts submitted to the regional office, ang nangyayari kasi, ang laman ng innovation nyo ay literature review. You specify there, they specify the research studies and many literature, where in fact the content of the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy should be your own. This is a peculiar situation in your respective classroom when you are a teacher. Something nakakaiba na nakita mo lang doon sa classroom mo. So do not include any more related studies. Kasi problem mo yun. It's your own problem. So what we would like to see under this portion of your action research is that you are going to bring us into your classroom. Ano ba ang meron at nakikita dito? So for example, you have a problem on the behavior of the students that you would like to solve this problem, no? So bring us into your classroom. How are you going to solve the problem? This is your step number 1. This is your step number 2, number 3, and so on. Yun ang dapat naming makita dito sa part na to. And these are oftenly missed by some of the researchers. Puro literature and studies ang nakalagay dito. So I hope in the next submission, medyo okay na yung part na ito. So yun lang ang gusto kong ma-focus, yung mga most common mistakes, ano, usually sa part na ito ng action research. Next, we go to the completed basic research template. So we now have here, starting from the title page to abstract until the financial report. But for the completed action research template, ito naman yung ating format from the title page down to the final report also. But let us take a look at the difference between these two. So for the basic research, you would see na dun pa rin si literature review and scope and limitation, which are not found in the action research. For the action research naman, you have the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy, which is not found in the basic research. Let us compare the research proposal and completed basic research. You can see here on the left side, the proposal, meron nang natanggal. The ethical issues and the timetable or the Gantt chart will be removed when you're going to submit the completed research. Wala na siya. For the completed research, we now have the additional portion of the title page, the abstract, the acknowledgement, and the discussion of results and recommendation. For the action research proposal and the completed action research, under the proposal, we have the data analysis plan, action research work plan and timelines, plans for dissemination and utilization, which are already omitted pagdating sa completed action research. And for the completed action research, we now have the additional title page, abstract, acknowledgement, the discussion of results and reflection, and the action plan. Okay, let us now move to the main topic of my talk, which is one of which is the title. No, how are we going to conceptualize a research title? First, in a title, this is taken from a research problem. All right, kailangan may problem, and sometimes this is the very hard part of a researcher to do. It's hard to think of a title if the title is if the problem is the title. Ang hirap mag-isip, no? Because you have to have that jump start, no? Gusto mong mag-research, wala ka namang title. So basically, this is taken from a research problem. Tingnan mo kung ano yung problem doon sa classroom mo. Tingnan mo kung ano yung problem doon sa workplace mo. And this research problem may arise from, the first one is your specialization. Of course, for example, if you are majoring in science, you look into your specialization. Ano ba yung nakikita kong problem dito sa science? Meron bang problem in terms of the delivery of the subject, especially so that we are under the new normal? In science, we sometimes have our laboratory. The problem is, how am I going to execute now this subject? No, so that will arise from the specialization. Another problem may arise from the past researches. This is the reason why it is very important for researchers to keep on reading and reading and reading, because out of these researches that you're going to read, you may be able to get a title. No? Paano kayo kukuha ng title dito? It may be through replication. Say, for instance, there is a particular study and you would like to conduct the same study in your own locale or in your own setting. So, pwede siya. It is in the form of the replication. Or there is some point in the recommendation or the findings in the study of a particular research that you would like to focus on. Parang hindi yata ganito. Parang mas maganda yata pag ganyan. Something like that. So those will be your references in doing your own research title based on the past researches. Another one is the problems that you meet. No? Most of the time, This is the very reason why you conduct a research, because you have the problems along the way that you would like to solve. Okay, and this may be on your, for example, as a teacher, your own methodology of teaching, or on the part of the students, on the part of the relationships with your coworkers or with your superiors or the management itself. So those are some of the research problems and the problem itself. Another one is the creative ideas or curiosity. Now that we are in the new normal, you might be curious in using a particular platform, if that is effective or not. So that is another way of conducting research because of your curiosity. Another one for the title is that it must be eye-catchy and thought-provoking. No, this is just like the headline of a newspaper. No, if you want your readers to read your your work, then the title must be eye-catchy. Something that will catch their attention. No, dapat makuha mo palang title pa lang, nakuha mo na agad yung attention nila. So it should be thought-provoking. And it should be something which is closely related to the researcher's professional goals, expertise, experience, and interest. This is really very important. You have to consider all these things, because in undergoing such research, it will take a lot of time, it will take a lot of effort. And if you don't have that interest, if you don't have that expertise, if you don't have that experience, then it would be hard for you to conduct a research. So, importante, interesado ka sa ginagawa mo. It's not just conducting a research because you would like to be promoted, ano? Sana hindi ganun yung easy plano na sa mga teachers natin, ano? So, you are going to undergo research because it is interesting on your part, and based from your experience, there's a need for you to conduct such research. And the title should capture the main idea of the study. Ano ba yung sinasabi nating main idea of the study? No? This pertains to the questions who, what, where, and how. Actually, the question of where, meaning the locale or saan mo ika-conduct yung study. So you are going to tell the name of the school. Actually, this where is optional because this one may be put in the methodology. Like for example, the use of online learning in Dagupan City National High School. Halimbawa, pwede mo nang i-omit yung Dagupan City National High School, pwede mo siyang ilagay dun sa methodology. Okay lang yon. But of course, it depends on the evaluators, ano? Because evaluators of your research have varying experiences also. And some of them would like to put that in the title, and others would like to put that in the methodology. So depende rin sa evaluators niyo. So for the main idea, let's have the following examples. The first example is effectiveness of recorded videos in baking sponge cake to grade 10 students. Ma'am Vicky, pwede bang mag-recitation tayo dito? Ma'am Vicky?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Opo. We will
Para
try
may
to-
interaction, para may
Opo, opo.
kausap naman
Yes,
ako. Let,
We have actually tapped
ah,
3 forthcoming researchers for this particular webinar, and we will try to start with the first one, Ma'am Glyza.
okay, tingnan natin ha. Sa part muna dito, let's have the title para mag-grasp natin. The title is Effectiveness of Recorded Videos in Baking Sponge Cake to Grade 10 Students. Asan ang hudyaan? Nasaan ang who?
Grade 10 students.
All right, correct. Grade 10 students. What about the what? Ma'am Vicky, any other volunteer
sige.
or you will volunteer somebody?
Sige po.
Saan ang what dyan?
Sir Herbert, nandiyan ka ba? I think you're there.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir Herbert, although Filipino major si Sir Herbert, para lang na ma-satisfy natin yung interaction, yung engagement.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
maybe we will request you, Sir Herbert, to answer yung question ni Dr. Leah. What?
Yes, ma'am. Effectiveness of recorded videos.
Ayun po.
Pwede?
Sige,
Pwede daw.
okay lang yan.
Mm.
Ma'am Giselle. Ma'am Giselle Duque. Si Ma'am
Yes,
Giselle,
ma'am.
meron yung may pending na presentation of findings. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning po. Ma'am, ano po kasi sa what?
Yes.
May gusto pa si Maria na what?
Actually po, ma'am, I have the effectiveness of recorded videos. Yun ang unang pumasok sa ating,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Pakaisama natin yung baking sponge cake.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Baking of a sponge cake. And how?
How? Ma'am Salva.
Ano yung way? Para ma-achieve natin yung pag-bake ng sponge cake, ano yung magiging guide natin? What will be our guide?
Effectiveness of recorded videos.
Yes, the recorded videos. Yun ang gagamitin natin, ano? Instead of modular, you are going to make use of recorded videos. All right, thank you so much. Another one, last na to, dalawa lang to, no? The title is Teaching Basic Calculus Among Grade 11 Students Using Blended Instruction. What is the who? Ano yung who natin dito?
Volunteer?
Grade 11 students.
Yes, that's correct. Grade 11 students. What about the what?
Basic calculus po.
Yes, teaching of basic calculus. And how? How are you going to teach basic calculus?
Blended instruction.
All right, that's good. Through blended instruction. So, yun lang po ang recitation natin for now. We now move on again. Sa title pa rin tayo.
Ma'am Leia.
Yes, ma'am.
Our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Maria Celia Cunha Fernandez is now with us. Thank you very much, ma'am. Good morning po. May we request our resource speaker for the short message that our SDS has actually prepared for us. Kung okay lang po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po, ma'am.
Good morning, Ma'am Joy. Thank you po.
Yes.
So let us now hear the welcome message from our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Maria Celia Honyo Fernandez.
Good morning, Vicky, Irish, and everyone. Good morning to your presenter, Ms. Leah Olua.
Morning, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt your exciting lecture. I was watching it a while ago while I got in. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning sa inyong lahat. I'm work from home on Fridays, so as promised, I'll try to get in touch and say a few message. This is research, right? I think more than ever, research plays a very significant role in these pandemic times, particularly so that we are now delivering instruction in a new mode or in the new normal. We're getting into a different, difficult, but I would say exciting way of delivering instruction to our learners, not from home, but in school. So as I said, more than ever, research plays a very significant part. Why? Because you could use research in getting into other ways and perfecting your task as leaders, as school heads, as teachers, as personnel, and everything, as trainers even. I would say that with what your presenter was saying about the who, the what, the how, and why, basically, This is how things will go in uncertain times when you do your research. I would suggest that you stop making research that would take you months or even years to finish it. Finding research topics that are, they may be very supercalifragilistic, expialidocious, but they may not be relevant to the times. In uncertainty, what we need is action. So siguro sa ating ngayon sa division, let's focus more on action research. So yung tipo ng title na pinag-aaralan nyo, these are titles of action research that leaders, principals, teachers can do so as to immediately address the issues and concerns we face in the new learning modalities that we are into. Sinasabi ko sa inyo, ang problema natin ngayon in the modern times is not our ability to teach. It's not a problem. It just challenges us, and we could do it because we're masters of it. The real problem is instruction, delivery, and access. Remember that. So if I were you, I would focus on actual researches that would handle or address our issues in delivery and access. Yan kasi tayo nagpo-problema eh. Hindi naman tayo pwedeng modular lang, sabi ng iba. Though at DepEd Dagupan City, based on surveys, we agree that we will be modular, but we will be assisted by multimedia. So these trainings are on multimedia, and it helps us deliver the modular modality. So we keep on searching ways and means. Marami hong feedback sa online, marami rin pong feedback sa modular. But then, this can be addressed if we know how to deal with research the right way. In times of uncertainty, we should look at the immediate possible solution to our problems. Because waiting can be a very, very, what do you call that? What would I say? Parang fatalistic kung nag-iintay ka na lang kung anong gagawin mo. Di po ba? So, I want you all to be excited about research. In fact, yung araw-araw na buhay natin, research yan. Yan, magluluto ka lang ng sponge cake, di ba? Akalain mo bang dapat alam mo kung who, what, how, why, di ba? Because definitely, kahit napakasimple ang sponge cake baking na yan ang una kong binake nung bata ako, napakahirap din yan. The best sponge cake should be spongy, di ba? Soft and melty. Very few, very excess air. The difference lies. Right? So my teachers, our school are among of this webinar, always remember, we are not in times. And in uncertain times, what helps is to act fast. And research plays a very significant important role in our lives. And the purpose is only one, to make things easier for us. For instruction, for the delivery in the most efficient and effective way. Efficiency webinar. I hope I could join you there, but then I know that you have very able management staff under the leadership of Chief Linda, Irish, and of course, the research birthday. I
Hello?
have to adjust to it. Hindi na ba
Okay, we will be right back. Balikan po natin mas mamaya si Ma'am John. Medyo nagkaroon ng technical problems. Ay,
parang
nandito na ulit si
kayo ha, hindi ako. So this is new normal. We are. So you might as well add this in your system, itong mga webinar na tututuro. So I will not say much. I just want to say thank you for inviting me to say something. I hope what I said would mean a lot to all of you as you go on the task of studying more about research. So advance happy Halloween also, and good morning to everyone. Bye-bye po.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Joy. Ayan, for sure, naging sponge cake na tayo lahat and we want to learn. Further learning ngayong umaga.
Nag-expand with knowledge. Diba?
Thank you very much, Ma'am Joy.
Thank you, Ma'am Joy.
Welcome. Thank you too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's continue our session with Dr. Leia.
Yes, ma'am, I'm still here. So, going further, for our title, it should have a maximum of 12 major words or yung keywords na tinatawag natin. We are going to exclude the prepositions. And the verbose and long winding title only serves to distract the reader's attention from the main focus of the study. That's the reason why I presented to you the main idea or the main study, no? So long as you will be able to answer the who, what, and how in the study, then that's it. Tapos na ang title mo. Kompleto na ang title mo. So it's not necessarily that it should be verbose or long-winding para mas highfalutin, parang ganon, no? It doesn't have to be that way. Now we also have the terms that we may omit, just like an analysis of, a study of, an evaluation of. The reason why you are conducting a research is because you would like to analyze, you would like to study, and you would like to evaluate. So you don't have to put this on the title of your study. And it is also written in inverted pyramid, usually 2 lines. Kung kakasya, yung 2 lines, but if you could make it 1 line, yung iba kasi pwede namang maiksi, ano? So long as you were able to answer the who, what, and how. Let's have the following examples. Effectiveness of recorded videos in baking a sponge cake to grade 10 students. So this is in the form of inverted pyramid. And I would like to take note also on the prepositions that you're going to use. Ano? It should not be put on the last, as the last word in a line. Like for example, no, for our first line, the last word there is cake. No, it's a keyword. So, dapat keyword yung nasa dulo, hindi pwedeng preposition because it would be hanging. Do not put the preposition to doon sa dulo. Ibaba mo na siya. Alright? So, hindi dapat nakalagay ang preposition as last word in a line. Another one is teaching basic calculus among grade 11 students using blended instruction. So, our last word on the first line is students. No? Do not put using, the word using doon sa first line kasi preposition na siya. Hindi pwedeng nakahang. Now, let us move on identifying research topics. Paano ba ang pag-identify ng topic? Paano ba ang paggawa? Title na ba tayo agad? No? So, it would be better if we are going to deconstruct first ideas. You keep on thinking, making observations around kung ano yung nakikita mong problem. So this will be your ideas. And from deconstructing ideas, you're going to identify the concepts. Or from these ideas, you're going to identify the keywords. Kung ano yung importante na mag-grasp mo doon na keywords, yun ang kukunin mo as your concepts. Now, from concepts, you're going to formulate propositions or what we call statements. You can combine these concepts to come up with propositions or sentences. And the last one is you're going to formulate a research topic. Let's have the following examples. So we start from your observations or ideas. As a teacher, you would say, as your observation, that teachers have to deliver instruction in the new normal using different learning modalities. Yan yung unang observation mo. Another one, You might say, as your observation, that teachers have to embrace the technology to cope up with the trend. Another one, teachers have varying abilities in terms of technology, especially so that we have varying ages from 20s to senior citizens. Medyo masyadong malaki yung gap, ano? So teachers have varying abilities. Another one could be, some teachers have limited access to internet. Merong iba malakas ang internet, yung iba naman mahina, yung iba walang access, hindi nakakaabot doon. And from these observations, I listed only 4, ano? Kasi kung hahabaan pa natin, marami tayong makukuhang titles yan. Tama na yan. Pagkasyahin na natin yan. No? So what concept can you get out of these ideas or observations that you have in your workplace? Let us take a look at the first statement. Teachers have to deliver instruction in the new normal using different learning modalities. What could be the concept? It could be the delivery of instruction. Another concept is the learning modalities. So ang ginagawa lang natin dito, parang kinukuha natin yung mga keywords out of your observations. All right? Now for the second statement, teachers have to embrace technology to cope up with the trend. What could be the concept? It could be technology in teaching. For the third one, teachers have varying abilities in terms of technology. So the concept could be technical ability. And the last one, some teachers have limited access to internet. It could be, your concept could be the internet access. So nakikita nyo yung process na ginagawa natin. From the observations, kinukuha lang natin yung main concept or main idea or keywords. So we have extracted how many keywords? We have 5. The delivery of instruction. We have the learning modalities, technology in teaching, technical ability, and internet access. So nakakuha tayo ng 5. Now from these concepts, we can now make our propositions. And how do we make propositions? So these are our 5 concepts that we extracted. No? So in making propositions, we can just combine some of these concepts to come up with an idea. Like for example, out of the concepts, you would say, there are different learning modalities in teaching. So you are now combining your concept number 1 and concept number 2. Another proposition, delivery of instruction depends on the available technology. You may combine concept number 1 and concept number 3. Another one, delivery of instruction depends on the technical ability of teachers. So that is combining number 1 and number 4. Another, delivery of instruction depends on internet accessibility. That is for concept number 1 and concept number 5. Next, the choice of learning modality is associated with the technical ability of teachers. Now, in the technical ability, we may focus on the different platforms and software. No? So that is the combination of the learning modality, which is concept number 2, and number 4. Ayan. And the last one, the choice of learning modalities depends on internet accessibility. So that is combining concept number 2 and concept number 5. So ang point dito is that out of the keywords that you can extract, you may combine these concepts to come up with propositions or statements which will later on become a research title. Now, from these propositions, let us go to the research topics. kunin natin muna yung first three. What we're going to do now is bigyan natin ng mukha yung statements natin. When I say bigyan natin ng mukha, we go now to your respective classrooms, to your respective work. Ano yung particular term na gagamitin natin for these statements? Like for example, in number 1, there are different learning modalities in teaching. So for the research topic, it could be, ayan, may mukha na yan. Very specific na tayo. Effectiveness of the different learning modalities in the performance of grade 6 students in English. Alright, so very specific na yung ating problem. Meron na tayong research topic out of this proposition. So we deal with the different learning modalities and we deal with teaching. In this case, teaching of grade 6 students in English. So the effectiveness of different learning modalities in the performance of grade 6 students in English. That's how you are going to construct your research title. Another one. The proposition is delivery of instruction depends on the available technology. How are you going to come up with a research topic? So this could be delivery of instruction in general mathematics to grade 11 STEM students using online distance learning. So the delivery of instruction will be focusing on the general mathematics, and for the available technology, you are pertaining to a technology using online distance learning kasi perhaps yung mga estudyante may pwedeng gamiting technology. That's why they will be having online distance learning. Of course, that is aside from the modular, no? Kasi dito sa Region 1, all of us will be using modular instruction. So this will just be a supplement to our modular instruction. The third proposition is delivery of instruction depends on the technical ability of teachers. So your research topic could be learning to, you can see here, parang may dinagdag ako dito, no? Learning to learn. Technical ability of grade 10 science teachers amid pandemic. This is a way of catching the attention of your readers. Pwede kong dagdagan ng konting palabok doon sa title nyo, Learning to Learn. Technical ability of grade 10 science teachers amid pandemic. All right, so you focus on the technical ability, you focus on the delivery of instruction. At yun, very specific na siya because you have mentioned already the who, the what, and the how. Nandyan na lahat kompleto. Next, we have here 3 more propositions. Out of these propositions, we again craft our research topics. The first one is delivery of instruction depends on internet accessibility. What could be your research topic that will focus on delivery of instruction and internet accessibility? It could be, again, ito na naman yung parang eye-catchy doon sa title nyo. I teach, I connect. Teaching of mathematics 10 using synchronous online distance learning. Since we talk of internet accessibility, so you will be having the online distance learning. And in online distance learning, there are 2 ways to do that, either the synchronous or asynchronous. When we say synchronous, this is what we call the real time. No? I talk and you respond. That is synchronous. Parang tayo lang magkaharap face to face and there is interaction. That is synchronous. But for asynchronous, the student or the learner may respond at a later time. Like for example, no, you're going to post as a teacher, you're going to post an assignment or an activity, or you're going to post a question that they may answer in another time. Hindi siya parang sasagutan nila agad. Kaya tinatawag na asynchronous, sasagot sila at their own pace of learning. Hindi kailangan sagutan nila agad-agad. Ganon yung ating asynchronous. It's not a real-time scenario. An example of a real-time scenario is what we call the video conferencing, wherein there is an actual interaction, real-time interaction between the participants. Okay. The next one is the choice of learning modality is associated with the technical ability of teachers. And when we say technical ability, using different platforms, it may be through different softwares, ano? So, yan yung focus natin. Hindi lang siya sa hardware nakafocus. No? Pwede sa paggamit ng cellphone, for example, or paggamit ng gadget, but it could also be on the software, the different environment of the different software that you're going to use, or the different platforms. An example of which is matching to match, congruence of technology and teachers' technical ability. So, for the technology, again, it could be the hardware or the software. So, for instance, these are the available platforms that teachers could use. You have the Go2B, you have, for example, meron ding Google Classroom, you can make use of the Google Meet, the Zoom, and many others. Pwedeng Edmodo, mga ganon, at marami pa, no? So, though you have this technology available in teaching, what about the technical ability of the teachers? Nagmamatch ba itong mga to? So, yun yung titingnan natin dito. No? Matching to match, congruence of technology and teachers' technical ability. We can also have another example. Effectiveness of Go2B in teaching basic calculus to grade 11 STEM students. So, you're very specific as to the software that you're going to use. Ano, naka-specify na siya dito. So, you can also do it like this. No? You can specify the particular software or the platform. And the last proposition is, the choice of learning modalities depends on internet accessibility. So for the research topic, one example is effectiveness of Google Meet in teaching science to grade 5 pupils. So it's a question of the modality and the internet accessibility. Of course, we focus on the Google Meet because it's a way of accessing. Kailangan may, or I don't know, no, every time I use the Google Meet kasi I have the connection. I don't know if you can do this offline or without connection, Ma'am Vicky. Pwede ba? Nagagamit nyo ba to? Can you use the Google Meet pag wala internet?
Ay, naku po, mas lalong hirap po, ma'am. Kahit nakapag na, hirap na.
Oh, yun. So, kailangan may internet accessibility tayo, no? So, that is another research topic. All right. Now we go to research question. After the research question, some of the presenters, I think from your SDO, will be having the AR, the AR and the BR. So tapusin ko muna itong research question kasi parang magkadikit yung research question sa title natin. And this is one also of the problems that I notice whenever we come across the proposal submitted to the region, parang hindi naka-align yung title doon sa question. When in fact, the research question will be coming from the title. So, paano natin gagawin yun? So, ganito, we will run through that later. So, the research question outlines the problem addressed by a study. So, ibig sabihin, when we say problem, we are pertaining also of the title of your study. So, when somebody would ask you, what is your problem? You also pertain to your research title. Kasi the problem is in itself, nandun na sa title, makikita mo na sa title yung problem. So a good research problem should address an existing gap in knowledge in the field and lead to further research. Ito na yung tinatawag natin gap, This is the known and this is the unknown, and you would like to fill in the gap. So you have to come up with a research. The research question states the specific issue or problem that your study will focus on. So when we say a specific issue, we can state that in the general statement and a specific question. No? In general statement, it is stated in a narrative form, declarative form, rather, and specific questions in interrogative form. So, as an example for this, meron akong ginawa dito. Supposing the title is Delivery of Instruction in General Mathematics to Grade 11 STEM Students Using Online Distance Learning. So, we are going to craft a research question out of the title. So, ang nangyayari kung minsan doon sa nababasa namin, bakit kaya parang naiba yung question niya, yung research question niya doon sa title parang lumikis. Where in fact, you are just going to restate the title to become a research question. Okay? As an example, we have this one. So for the general statement, yung unang-unang statement is what we call the general statement. So this study aims to identify the delivery of instruction in general mathematics to grade 11 STEM students using online distance learning. By the way, this is not yet refined. Nag-draft lang ako pero hindi pa na-refine ito. We can still do some refinements on this. All right. Now, going back to the first statement, can we see the title on the first statement? Makikita mo ba? Parehas ba? May pagkakaiba ba? Kung titingnan natin, no, going back to the title, Delivery of Instruction in General Mathematics to Grade 11 STEM Students Using Online Distance Learning. And for the general question or general problem, this study aims to identify the delivery of instruction in general mathematics to grade 11 STEM students using online distance learning. So if you notice, kinuha lang natin yung title papunta sa general statement. Nandoon siya. All right? And for the research questions, specifically, it seeks answers to the following problems. Ito na yung napakalalang nakikita namin minsan, ano? Because your specific problems are very generic. When I say generic, the specific questions could be carried out also even in a different title. Excuse me. You talk about, I'm talking about the action research which are usually submitted in the region, ano? Ganito parati ang nababasa natin. What is the performance of the students before before the pretest or during the pretest pa sabi pala doon. What is the performance of the students in the pretest? What is the performance of the students in the post-test? Is there a significant difference between the performance of the control group and the experimental group? Now, if those will be your questions stated here, can you have different titles for that? Pwede ba? Yes, that is possible because that is very generic. Maski anong title na related sa experimental and control variable, papasok siya. So this is what we are trying to avoid because in a research question, it should be specific. And it only pertains to the title of the study. It only pertains to the general question. Doon mo kukunin yung question. So going back here, tingnan natin yung example number 1 natin ano, sa specific question. What platforms are used in the delivery of online distance learning? So maraming pwedeng platforms na magamit. Ano? So in this question, can you see a part of the general statement? Makukuha nyo ba? Makukuha nyo rin ba ito doon sa title? May portion din ba sa title? Carrying question number 1. So in question number 1, you are talking about the delivery of online distance learning. And you can also see that in the title, using online distance learning. And again, you can also see this in the general question. Tama po ba? So, ganun yung pag-construct natin ng title, galing din sa research title and general statement. Let's go to the next statement. What is the performance of the students using the different online distance learning platforms? So, ibig sabihin, you are trying to get the performance of the students. Kung ito yung ginamit niyang platform, ano kaya ang performance niya? Pero kung ito naman, ano kaya ang performance ng bata? So, yun yung tinitingnan natin dito. And again, in question number 2, we're talking about the performance of the students using different online distance learning platforms again, which are seen also in our general statement and our title. All right, nandun pa rin itong question na to. And let's go to item number 3. What plan of action may be proposed to improve the delivery of instruction in online distance learning? Then again, if you are going to read the question number 3, a portion of this may be seen again in the title and on the research, the general question in the research. So, ganun dapat ang pag-atake nyo sa research question. Very specific siya doon sa ating title and general statement. Anyway, we will be seeing later an example and let us peruse para makita natin kung tama ba or hindi. Another example is technical ability of grade 10 science teachers amid pandemic situation. So for the research question, the first statement is the general statement. This study will determine the technical ability of grade 10 science teachers in teaching amid pandemic situation. So this is your general statement. Does it contain the title? Nandun ba yung title natin? Yes, nandun doon. You're talking about the technical ability. Nandito ang technical ability. You're talking about the science teachers and makikita nyo rin ito sa general statement. So it should be congruent from the title going to the general statement and specific questions. Let's go to the specific question. For the second statement, we have here specifically, it seeks answers to the following problems. The first one is, what is the technical ability of the respondents on the following aspects? So you're talking about the technical ability in terms of the word processing, spreadsheet, web navigation, email management, file management, and Windows Explorer, documents uploading and downloading, and video conferencing. So, doon sa number 1 mo, makikita mo na that it is now focused on the technical ability. At makikita nyo rin ito doon sa title at saka sa general statement. Alright? Next, for number 2, what enhancement skills may be strengthened to increase the technical ability of the respondents? Again, you can see this one on the title and the general statement. So sana ganun ang tingnan nyo, no, when you are going to do questions. Kailangan nakaangkla pa rin siya sa title at saka sa general statement. Meron pa ba? Last na ito, no? I think this is similar to one of the samples that will be presented later, no? I did not include any more here. Nabasa ko kasi dun sa sample niya, may modular instruction, ano? I did not include on my title about modular already because parang ito na yung default na way of learning ng mga estudyante. But you can also include, no? Let me read the title. The title is Effectiveness of Recorded Videos in Baking Ubi Pandesal to Grade 11 TVL Logro Students. So for the research question, this research will determine the effectiveness of recorded videos in baking ubi pandesal to grade 11 TVL Logro students. Again, if you're going to look at our research general statement, you can see that also in the title. Parang nire-state lang natin in a form of general statement. Pero nandun pa rin yung title natin.
For the specific research question, we have here, what is the level of performance of students who use modular instruction in baking ube pandesal? So parang ang idea dito is that you will be having a control group and experimental group. And the control group will be the one, when we say control group kasi, ito yung traditional way of doing the teaching. And the traditional way usually sa atin before the new normal is the lecture method, parang ganon. But in our case now, in our new normal, ang parang very basic or the default now is the modular instruction. So the modular instruction will be the control group, while the other group is the experimental group, wherein they are going to make use of the modular, and in addition to that, there will be the recording of videos. Ganon yung problem natin dito. So going back to question number 1, what is the level of performance of students who use modular instruction in baking ube pandesal? So nandun pa rin si ube pandesal kasi yan yung makikita mo sa title at saka sa general statement. Okay? Next, number 2, what is the level of performance of students who used modular instruction and watch the recorded videos in baking ube pandesal? So, mas mataas kaya ang performance nila that aside from using the modular instruction, meron siyang dagdag na recorded videos. Ayan. So, for number 3, we are going to have the significant difference in the level of performance of students in baking ube pandesal using the modular approach only and using modular approach and recorded videos. Kino-compare natin yung dalawa. So that's the example. I think we're now moving on to the sample researches by dalawa, Ma'am Vicky, dalawang action research at saka isang basic research.
Yes po, ma'am.
Can we now see the samples?
Opo.
Tanggalin ko muna tong slide share ko.
Opo. Yes, ma'am. May we request our presenters, Ma'am Liza, Ma'am Princess Grace, and Sir Marconi to get ready. We will start with Ma'am Liza to share your screen. Followed by, I think you need to share first your title, ma'am, for our speaker to be able to see it and so with the rest of the group. You will be followed by Ma'am Princess Grace and of course Sir Marconi. Thank you.
Good morning po.
Morning.
Morning.
May I request po to pin na lang po my presentation because I cannot share my screen po. So in my in my screen, pa-pin na lang po. Maybe you can press the pin button po. Can you see na po my presentation?
Medyo po nakikita, pero hindi lahat.
Nakikita niyo na ba? Sa amin kasi nakikita namin. Ipaano ko na lang po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Parang putol sa left side.
Wait lang po.
Yan na po.
Yan po, ma'am.
Yes, yan.
Okay. Hello po. Kikita niyo na po?
Yes, ma'am. Just go on.
Okay po. Okay. So, True to its mission, the Department of Education ensures continuity of learning amidst the crisis through the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. This includes using self-learning modules that are the preference of the parents and students for this school year 2020-2021. However, as I have observed in the start of this school year, mastery of skills and knowledge retention seems to be very difficult to achieve with modular instruction alone. And so with this realization, it urges me to come up with an intervention leading me to write this action research entitled Utilizing Screencastify Learning Videos as an Aid to Modular Instruction of Grade 8 Students in Science. So, Screencastify is actually a web application. If you are familiar with the OBS or the Open Broadcasting Software, it actually will give you the same quality, but it will be easier to access, it will be easier to process, it will be easier to create. It can be used by both the young and the old teachers. Okay, so this is a sample of how will be the output of a Screencastify learning video will look like. Okay, so the research questions for this action research, this study aims to enhance the academic performance in science of the grade 8 learners of the Gupan City National High School by utilizing Screencastify learning videos to reinforce modular instruction as the learning modality this school year 2020-2021. Uh, with the following sub-problems. Number 1, what is the level of performance of the students in science using the modular instruction? Number 2, what is the level of performance of the students in science using modular instruction and watch Screencastify learning videos? And number 3, is there a significant difference on the level of performance of the students in science using the modular instruction only and using modular instruction and Screencastify learning videos? So the action research method, this study will employ a quasi-experimental design since its main purpose is to determine the effectiveness of lecture videos as an instructional aid and its impact to the mean scores on performance of the learners in science. The subjects of this study will be selected through partial numeration method. The grade 8 Aristotle and grade 8 Mendel of the Science Education Technology program will be used as the subjects of this study. The two sections belong to the Science, Technology, and Engineering program. And there are two groups of this study. It will be determined by using toss coin method since both groups are known to be intellectually homogeneous. So the control group will use the self-learning module, while the experimental group will utilize both the self-learning module and Screencastify learning video. That ends po my presentation.
Thank you, Ma'am Liza. We now ask our resource speaker for
Can
her.
we can
Yes,
we
ma'am.
go to slide number 2 about the research questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Medyo maliit siya. Pwedeng palakihan. May ilalaki pa ito.
Wait lang po.
Hindi masyadong mabasa.
Ma'am, pakipin po para lumabas.
All right. So your title is about Screencastify, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, nawala. Now, if we go back to the general statement, no, this study aims to enhance the academic performance in science of grade 8 learners of the Gupan City National High School utilizing Screencastify learning videos to reinforce modular instruction as an alternative naputol lang hininga ko. Alternative learning modality. This is school year 2020-2021. Now, my question is, did we extract this from the title? Dala-dala ba niya ang title natin? Ma'am Glyza?
Ma'am,
Yes, ano?
actually,
Yes, makikita mo dito, di ba?
yes po.
Yes. So, we can consider this as correct kasi nandun yung title. Out of the title, you were able to form your general statement. All right. Now, let us go to your specific questions. Let me read it to you. What is the level of performance of the experimental group and the control group based on their pretest results? By the way, why do you have to conduct pretest? Bakit tayo magpi-pretest?
Ma'am, to know the prior level performance of the students when they use the modular instruction, ma'am.
Modular instruction lang ba?
Yes, ma'am, to know their level of performance in the
Okay.
given competency po.
All right. Now, given that scenario, you will be giving them pre-test. And what is the purpose? Ano yung gusto nating makita? Who will be our respondents? Kailangan ang lalabas doon sa pre-test is the results are comparable. Kailangan
Yes, ma'am.
hindi sila nagkakalayo ng score so that when we are going to have ma'am, dalawang section or isang section na lang na hinati mo. Halimbawa,
Two sections po, ma'am.
okay, two sections sila, no? So you're going to divide there are two sections, ano? So you're going to compare the result. And when you compare, you have your control group and experimental group. When we say control group, ano? Ito yung paggamit ng modular lang, ano? While the experimental
Yes, ma'am.
group is the combination of the modular and yung screencastify mo na learning videos.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, my point here is, kaya ka nagkakandak ng pre-test is para makita mo na yung subjects of the study mo have comparable performance. What I'm
Yes, ma'am.
trying to point out is, you don't have to look anymore or state anymore in your research question the result of the pretest because we expect that the result of the pretest are comparable. Kasi nga, paano kung ang isang group na to ay masyadong mababa ang pretest at yung isa masyadong mataas? Doon pa lang, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-conduct ng research or yung study or experimental research. Kasi nga, hindi sila pantay base sa result ng pretest mo. Nakuha mo ang ibig kong sabihin, ma'am?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
in your study, you are making a comparison in terms of the academic performance. Ibig
Yes, ma'am.
sabihin, mas magaling kaya ang mga bata kapag meron silang gamit na modular learning at saka yung screencastify.
Opo.
Or yung isa, gamit lang ang modular instruction. Yun ang gustong mong makita, di ba, ma'am?
Yes po, ma'am.
All right. Now, how can you see the difference kung doon pa lang sa pretest, mas mataas, halimbawa, no? This is just an example. Doon pa lang sa pretest, mas mataas na ang nakuhang score ng mga under ng experimental group. My point is, kahit wala si learning video, ang lalabas sa post-test, mas mataas ang score nila. Kasi sa pretest pa lang, mas mataas sila. So, my point here is, kinakandak mo ang pretest para you will be having a result which is comparable. You will be having the two groups of students which have equally the same competence or academic performance. So, in that case, hindi mo na kailangang i-test or tanungin dito sa research question kung ano ang result ng pretest. Kasi expected na dapat comparable sila. Ang gusto lang nating makita ngayon sa study mo is kung ano ang difference ng academic performance between the group who use the modular alone and the other group who use modular and learning videos. Yun ang gusto nating makita. Now, and going back to your question number 1, no, what is the level of performance of experimental group and control group based on the pretest results? My question is, kung hindi ba ganito yung problem ko, what if I will go back to my ubi pandesal, ano, yung ginawa kanina na sample, don't you think papasok itong question number 1? Applicable din ba siya?
Ma'am, actually, while you are discussing kanina, I have already changed my research question.
Okay, yes.
I have already applied. That's why the one I'm presenting kanina,
Very
the one,
good.
yes ma'am,
Very good, ma'am. At least,
yes ma'am,
pero it's nice to see na ito ang present mo sa group para makita nila. Ito
yes
yung
ma'am,
gusto kong matumbok. Ito yung kasi yung parating nakikita kong pinipresent nila dito sa region. Very
yes ma'am,
generic siya. Na maski anong title, papasok ito.
yes
So
po,
at least nakita mo na, Ma'am Glyza, ano,
yes ma'am.
yung how you are going to present the question. Now, going back to what I said, ano, how are you going now to change yung number 1 mo from here? Pakibalikan mo yung sinabi mo kanina, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The one I have edited na, based from your discussion po, will be what is the level of performance of the students in science using the modular instruction?
Yes, that's correct. And what about number 2?
Number 2, what is the level of performance of the students in science using modular instruction and watch screencastify learning videos?
All right, that's good. And number 3?
Is there a significant difference on the level of performance of the students in science using the modular instruction only and using modular instruction and screencastify learning videos?
All right, very good. Yun, ganun dapat ang pag-present ng
Better.
research question. That's better. All right, I will not tackle on research methodology kasi ang focus pa lang natin dito is the title and the research question. Thank you so much, Ma'am Glyza. Balikan natin yung second presenter.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Glyza. Ma'am Princess Grace.
Ma'am, I'm going to share my screen now po.
Yes. Thank you.
Can you see my screen now, ma'am? Hello? Nakikita na po, ma'am, yung aking screen?
Wala pa po.
Wala pa. Pero nag-ano siya. Yan.
Yes, po. So, good morning po sa ating lahat. May I present to you my action research proposal, and I would appreciate your comments and observation to further improve my proposal. So the title of my study is Integrating Online Formative Assessment to Increase Achievement Score of Grade 12 HUMs in Modular Learning. Our research questions are the following. Our general question is, this study seeks to increase the achievement score of grade 12 HUMs students in English for academic and professional purposes subject by integrating online formative assessment in modular learning. Specifically, it seeks the following question, or to answer the following question. 1, what is the achievement level of the experimental group in the pretest? Number 2, what is the achievement level of the control group in the pretest? Number 3, what is the achievement level of the experimental group in the post-test? 4th, what is the achievement level of the control group in the post-test? And lastly, is there a significant difference between the achievement level of the experimental and control group in the post-test? Our research methods are the following. Our resources of data, as we have mentioned, we have the grade 12 HUMs. They are divided into 2 groups, 25 for the control group and 25 for the experimental group. They were chosen using the fishbowl random sampling. Our data gathering method is quasi-experimental pretest and post-test design. And for the analysis of data, to answer the questions, the following statistical tool will be used. We have the mean and the t-test. Our instrument, we will be using a teacher-made 50-item pretest and post-test to be administered using Google Form. So that's it for ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Princess. I think the same situation as the first one kay Ma'am Glyza, no? Ganon din lang.
Yes po, ma'am. Opo, na-observe
yes.
ko din po. Opo.
Now, if you're going to change that, how are you going to do it now?
We can have what is the achievement level of students using the modular learning? And what is the achievement level of the students using the online formative assessment? And is there a significant difference between the 2 groups using the modular learning and the combination of online formative and the modular learning po?
So I just would like to focus on the other one, ano, yung experimental group mo that is using what again? Formative assessment, online assessment.
Online formative assessment po, ma'am.
How would it be, Ma'am Princess?
Particularly
Paano
po,
mo gagawin 'to?
yes po ma'am, we will be using a particular online application which is called Quizzes.
Yes, oo.
Yun po yung gagamitin naming online application po
The reason
for the
why
experimental group.
okay. The reason why I asked this one is, ito na naman yung most common, this is not actually a mistake. This is also part, no? Kasama ito, it's not a mistake, it's part. Pero nakulangan
Yes,
lang
ma'am.
ako. And the rest of those presenters also here in the region, every time there is oral presentation, when there is experimental research like this, they focus too much on the items, the 30 items, 50 item, pre-test and post-test. But they fail to show us like in your case, you have to show me the formative online assessment using the quizzes. Doon dapat ang focus doon sa tool mo. It's not only the 30 item post test or the pre-test. Kailangan i-focus mo din kung ano yung nandun sa formative online assessment. Yun yung
Noted.
medyo
Yes po ma'am,
kulang.
noted po. Opo.
Okay. So, that is in addition to the post-test questions, ano?
Yes po ma'am.
Yun yung kulang. It's not only you, but many of those who are submitting here experimental research and they submit to us the post-test questions, yun ang parating dinedefine nila. Where in fact, what you're going to define as your tool will be the application now, paano mo ginamit sa formative online assessment. That should be the focus of your study. It's not about the post-test questions. Pero usually, yun yung parating dinedefine nila. So in your case, dagdagan mo lang about formative online assessment. No? Expound mo ito. And show
Yes po
us
ma'am.
how you do it. So yun.
Yes po ma'am,
Thank you
noted po.
so much,
Thank you so
Ma'am
much po.
Princess.
Thank you po ma'am.
Thank
Can
you
we
so
have another
much,
one? The last
Princess
one?
Grace. Apo. Sir McCoy.
Yes, Ma'am Vicky.
Thank you.
Ma'am Vicky, nakikita na po ba yung aking presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay po. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Ma'am Vicky. Here is my proposed basic research. The title of the proposal is Impact of Parent-Assisted Modular Instruction to Grade 7 Learners of Secondary Schools in SDO, Dagupan City. Here are my research questions. Number 1, what is the profile of the learner respondents in terms of the following attributes? Gender, preference for parental assistance, level of parental academic assistance received, and level of independence shown. For research problem number 2, what is the profile of the parent respondents in terms of the following attributes? Preference to assist learners in academics, perceived assistance of the learners from the parents to help in answering the module, C, perceived level of assistance given, D, attendance to training related to teaching, E, form of modular instruction assistance, and F, perceived level of satisfaction on assistance given. For number 3, what is the mean average score of pupil respondents in modules 1 to 5 for quarter 1 in the following learning areas? So basically, in this study, I'll be covering the scores of the learners in the 5 learning areas, specifically from modules 1 to 5, first quarter of the following subjects: Filipino 7, English, Math, Science, and Araling Panlipunan. For research questions 4 to 5, is there a significant relationship between the selected attributes of the learner respondents and the selected attributes of the parent respondents? 5, is there a significant relationship between the mean percentage score of the learner respondents and the selected profile of the parent respondents? 6, based on the focus group discussion, what is the level of impact of parent participation in the modular instruction of secondary grade 7 learners in STO Dagupan? For the methodology, it will be descriptive. And for the statistics, sabi ni ma'am, awag po muna yung statistics. Ma'am, it is open for your comments and suggestions so that I can improve further the research proposal.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes,
It seems that you have so many focus on your study based on your research questions.
yes,
Ang
ma'am.
dami-dami, sir.
Opo,
Actually, if we are going to trim it down, we will
yes,
come up with different titles of your research. Kasi ang dami mong focus.
opo, opo.
Dapat specific lang siya, sir.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
If you would like to focus on the perceptions of the learners and the teachers and the parents rather, so be it. So perception ka lang.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes.
I want you to browse on the specific questions. Gusto kong makita, sir. Pakibalik nga, sir.
Question number one, ma'am, the profile of the
Ayan.
in terms of the following attributes.
So you are talking about the profile of the learner respondents. Why do you want to include gender, sir? Ano yung gusto mo makita dito?
Ma'am, I decided to include gender because in some way or another, it might be a factor to consider if, in terms of, it could be a factor to consider when it comes to the ability of the learners, whether they are more on, for instance, ma'am, kapag lalaki, yung estudyante, lagi ba siyang humihingi ng kanyang assistance sa kanyang parents? And
Alright.
if the female naman po, humihingi din ba siya ganun sa lalaki? Parang ganun po yung nakikita ko doon. So that's the main reason why I have included the gender, ma'am.
What about the preference for parental assistance? Yun na yung reason mo.
Yes, ma'am. Preference for
Alright.
parental assistance.
And number 3 is level of parental academic assistance received.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have, yes, I would like to see the questionnaire for that. Saang part yun?
Yes, ma'am. Meron po akong questionnaire. In-attach ko din po. So this is the questionnaire, ma'am, for the pupil list.
Alright. Oh, so tatlong scale lang siya. So going back, balik na lang tayo sa kwan mo, sir. So okay na. Na-browse ko na siya. So it's more on asking one question, ano? The reason why I would like to see your questionnaire is that there might be different indicators. Baka marami kang indicators under level of parental academic assistance. My point is, the level of parental academic assistance may vary depending on what portion of academic assistance.
Yes, ma'am.
Pwede sa pagbasa lang sa introduction, pwede sa pag-answer ng mga questions, maraming assistance pa na pwede ilagay yung parents. And also, with that, you should have different indicators. Hindi isang question lang for this. Then, excellent. Ano yung tatlong kwan mo, sir, kanina? Qualifying words na ginamit mo. So, tatlo lang na parang i-check mo lang siya, ano? Scale lang siya. So, what I'm having in mind is that for you to be able to get the parental assistance provided by parents, mas maganda it should be composed of different questions, different indicators within parental academic assistance. So marami siya na i-check, parang ganun siya. Kasi one question ka lang para mas broaden, mas widen, mas comprehensive yung letter C mo. And again, going back, parang ang dami-dami ng ano. Sa number 2, balik, go to number 2 nga, sir. Let's go to number 2. Ayun. Ang dami-dami. Sobrang dami actually, sir, ng focus. My point here is, what if you will just focus on the level of assistance of the parents?
Level of assistance of the parents. Yes.
Form of, halimbawa, modular instruction, ano? Kasi nakita ko, you have specified also different subjects. Di ba?
Yes.
And we have to consider if it is composed of different, ayaw mo mag-focus na isang subject lang, sir?
Pwede rin naman.
The reason why I ask is because it also depends on the capability of the parents. May mga parents na magaling halimbawa sa math, sa math lang sila nakakatutok sa mga anak nila, something like that. So you have to consider a particular subject perhaps para wag masyadong marami ang focus.
Yes, ma'am. Noted po.
Ganon. And another one, when you are going to include the background or the profile of the parents, why not focus also? Dito siya mag-focus na lang kasi ang dami-daming nakalagay dito sa ano mo, sir, profile. Why not focus whether the parent is working or non-working?
Yes,
Mas
ma'am.
natututukan kaya ni magulang ang anak kapag nagtatrabaho siya or kapag hindi. Kasi when we say non-working, marami rin pwedeng magawa sa bahay. Ano? There are many household chores or whatsoever. So we will see that if a parent is working, natututukan ba niya or hindi ang anak? Another one, you have to consider also the educational attainment of the parent.
Yes, ma'am.
Paano kung high school graduate or elementary graduate or some others are not even elementary graduate? So you have to consider the educational attainment of parents. And also,
status po.
another one is the number of siblings.
Number of siblings.
Mas mataas kaya ang score ng learner o yung bata kapag marami silang magkakapatid? O pwede hindi dahil maraming tututukan si mother o yung father kaya mas mababa. Or pwede ring mas maganda, mas maraming siblings kasi maraming mga kapatid na magtuturo sa bata. Parang ganon. So perhaps you focus on a specific profile of the parents, sir, kasi masyadong marami tong naka-indicate dito. And another one, yung let's go to letter D, yung 2D mo, attendance to trainings. Yun, sir, balikan mo yung 2D. Attendance to trainings related to teaching. I just would like to know if SDO Dagupan has given parents a training on teaching and how to teach their children. May naibigay ba?
Not necessarily a training, ma'am, but it's more on orientation prior to the implementation of the chosen modality. Actually, SDO Dagupan, with that of the different schools, conducted orientation to parents on how the modality will work. It's not really on a formal training, but I don't know for some schools if they have conducted formal trainings. But in our case, in our school, we conducted orientation, more on orientation, ma'am.
All of the parents were given orientation?
Ma'am, no. It could be
Okay.
70%, 60 to 70% of those parents. Yes,
And
ma'am.
why? Why were not they given orientation on that, sir? Kasi we expect na all of them were given orientation.
Ma'am, yung iba po kasi na mga orientation that for those parents who have their internet connection, we conducted orientation through various platforms. However, for those who do not have the internet connection, we had our face-to-face orientation prior to the implementation of the chosen modality. So may mga hindi pa rin po naka-attend ng mga magulang in some way or another po.
Okay. So the reason why I ask this again is this may not be a part as a variable, but because when they are given trainings, lahat sila when they were given orientation, it could be removed already from this one, from the pool of item number 2 because they are on equal footing. But since you have said that some of them were not given orientation, it's okay if you are going to include this because this is one of the variables, ano? And kasi pag sinabi nating variable, something which vary from one respondent to another or something that vary from one parent to another. Since hindi naman lahat ng parents naka-attend ng orientation, so it could be considered a variable, no? Yung iba naka-attend, yung iba ay hindi. Ayun. So, yun lang ang nanote ko dito, sir. Parang medyo mahirap-hirap ito. Actually, when Ma'am Vicky has forwarded to me this one last night, parang medyo nawindang ako kasi ang daming focus. And I could not tell you exactly what to do now given this many scenario. No? Kaya for the meantime, ang masasabi ko lang sa'yo, you focus on the level of assistance
Yes,
provided.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
you may select the subject and you only focus on a particular profile of the parents. Huwag yung ganito karami.
Yes, ma'am. Noted, ma'am.
Okay. So, if you want to have it forwarded to the regional office later, pwede mong i-forward so we can have it ready during the schedule again of the next evaluation of work. But you can also do this in your respective division. Pwede naman.
Yes, ma'am.
Ayun. So, for the meantime, yun muna kasi sobrang dami. So, going back, okay na tayo? So,
Yes.
you look into the grade or the performance of the learners based on the assistance provided by the parents.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And given this particular profile, whether they are working or non-working, you'd identify the educational attainment and the number of siblings para medyo mas defined siya.
Yes,
Mas konti para mabawasan muna natin ang focus. Later on, if you want to conduct further studies, then you may do so using some of the items you have posted here kasi sobrang dami talaga, sir. So for the meantime, yun muna ha. Yung part
yes,
lang na
ma'am.
yun.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your suggestions, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir McCoy.
Yes,
Ma'am
ma'am. Thank you
Tia,
so much, Vicky.
is it okay? Meron po tayong isang very brave,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
very brave volunteer. We sought three, well, sample ARs, rather two ARs, one basic, but this one is a former birth grantee, and he would like to submit himself for your commentaries on his proposed research study. May I present
Okay.
Mr. Herbert Perez. Sir, present now your output.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning po.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ready ko lang po. Ayan.
Ano yan, sir? Action research or basic research?
Action lang po, ma'am.
Action. Huwag mong sinasabing lang yan, sir.
Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry,
Naku,
I'm sorry.
Tagalog.
Yes, ma'am, habang ako po'y nakikinig sa inyo po, ma'am, sa inyong discussion. So, nagpo-formulate din po ako ng mga questions and studies. So, based po doon sa pakikinig ko po, ma'am, na-formulate ko po ito ngayon. So, kung sakasakali man po na ito ay pumasok doon sa inyong mga standards, ma'am, baka ito na po yung aking ituloy. So, ito po yung aking title. So, kabisaan ng paggamit ng open broadcasting system sa pagtuturo ng Pilipino sa mga mag-aaral ng Baitang 10. Yan po yung aking naisip na title po. At ang mga questions ko po dito ay ano ang antas ng pagganap ng mga mag-aaral na gumamit ng Multimedia Assisted Modular Instructions or MAMI ng mga aralin sa Filipino 10. Pangalawa, ano ang antas ng pagganap ng mga mag-aaral na gumamit ng Multimedia Modular Instructions at Open Broadcasting System. At yung pangatlo po, may mahalagang pagkakaiba ba ang antas ng pagganap ng mga mag-aaral na gumamit lamang ng Multimedia Assisted Modular Instruction o MAMI na pagdulog at ng mga gumamit ng MAMI at Open Broadcasting System. So, for your, ma'am, for your commentaries po.
I think saktong-sakto lang, sir. I could not comment further, but you have done exactly right, just like I have presented that, and the other presentations also of the action researches, tamang-tama lang po, sir. You can expound this one to be a proposal, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Sa paggawa po ng open broadcasting system, ma'am, I will be making my original my original videos or original work or ano po siya, ma'am. Pwede po ako mag-adapt ng mga materials na ginamitan ng open broadcasting system.
Yes, sir. That's good. Pero mas maganda in your own way of doing that, sir. Di ba sabi mo, pwedeng ikaw gumawa. It would be better, sir.
Kaya naman po.
Yes,
And one final question, ma'am. Since ang gamit po namin nga po is the modules po ng MAMI, is it okay, ma'am, para validated na po yung mga questions sa gagamitin? Ang gagamitin ko na lamang po na mga questions ay yung mga questions na nandun po sa modules.
Pwede, sir. Pwede.
Para hindi na ako
yes.
Hindi na siya ma-validate ko na siya ipa-validate kasi validated.
Yes, sir. Pwede naman.
And ano siya, ma'am, lalagay ko po siya online. Hindi po siya doon sa mismong written, okay lang po kaya yun, ma'am, na method siya.
Okay lang naman po, sir. Okay lang.
Ayan, yan. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay,
Hello,
sir.
Herbert. Pwedeng magtanong,
Yes po,
Herbert?
ma'am. Yes po, ma'am.
Oo. Kasi, clarify ko lang, ha?
Yes,
Yung
ma'am.
ating modality na sinasabi natin ay multimedia assisted modular instruction.
Yes, ma'am.
Although in general, modular instruction lang yan talaga.
Yes, ma'am.
Ang kinaklaro ko kasi yung open broadcasting system is a means or a media na sinasabi natin. So,
Yes, ma'am. Apps.
parang dun sa ano kasi sa tinatahak ng mga tanong mo, halimbawa yung number 1, no?
Yes,
Ano
ma'am.
ang pagganap ng mag-aaral na gumamit ng multimedia assisted modular instruction? Kapag sinabi mo nang gumamit siya ng multimedia assisted modular instruction, kasama na yung open broadcast system doon.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tama po.
Kaya, ang sigurong mas maganda ay specify mo na yung multimedia na assistance ay in the form ng open broadcasting system. Kasi
Yes,
meron
ma'am.
din tayong online na kumbaga media assistance, di ba? Meron
Yes
din
po,
tayo.
yung nasa mga modules po.
So marami yan. Specify mo na generally tayo ay modular instruction na distance learning, no?
Yes po.
Modular distance learning. Ngayon, ang gusto ko dyan is kung makita mo how effective ang paggamit ng open broadcasting system as a multimedia assistance.
Okay, yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
Nakuha ba natin yun?
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am. Tama, nakuha ko po.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Actually, yung comment na yun ni ma'am, pwede mong ilagay sa proposed innovation intervention strategy.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you are going to define everything that you're going to do here as specified in your research question doon sa proposed innovation intervention and strategy.
Yes,
Yun
po,
yung
ma'am.
sinasabi ko kanina, you have to bring your reader to your own classroom and define from the very first step to the last step kung ano yung gagawin mo.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Doon
very
siya
much.
papasok. Okay.
Thank you.
4. Yan ang salita. 4.
Thank you very much again, Dr. Leia, and to all who presented, and of course to Ma'am Linda, Chief Linda, for her
Hindi bago tayo mag-wrap up kay Ma'am Leia. May biglaan po ba? Mag-break lang. Mag-break na ba? O, sige.
mag-break tayo and
ganito tuloy. Oo, pero bago kasi ang first part niya, di ba, sa research question na, di ba? Research title, di ba? Ma'am Leia, this is, refer ko sa'yo because just right now, I have already a parang research title in mind, which I would want to parang propose.
Yes, ma'am.
Kasama ba yung
dapat pinopropose ng mga teachers siguro to sa nag-deliver talaga ng modular instruction.
I'll
write sa chat box po, Ma'am Leia, yung post title, and then we take a break. You just write the title. Thank you.
Dalawa, uy. Tatlo.
Sir Herbert.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Naririnig.
Ayan, sige. Magsalita ka na, Chi. Ay.
Okay, thank you very much po sa ating mga presenter from Ma'am Glyza, Ma'am Princess Kim, Sir Marconi, and Sir Herbert. Thank you rin po, Ma'am Leia. Now, let's have a break first, a 10-minute break. Mag-inat-inat muna tayo. At magmerienda online.
Wala na dating pagtingin, sawa na ba sa aking lambing? Wala ka namang dahilan, bakit bigla lang nag-iwan? Di na alam ang gagawin upang ika'y magbalik sa'kin. Ginawa ko naman ang lahat, bakit bigla lang naghanap? Di magbabago pagmamahal sa'yo. Sana'y pakinggan mo ang awit ng pusong ito. Tulad ng mundong hindi tumitigil sa pag-ikot, pag-ibig di mapapago. Tulad ng ilog na hindi tumipigil sa pag-agos, pag-ibig di matatapos. Alaala'y bumabalik, mga panahon nasasabi. Sutulang mukha mo ay lagi na sa panaginip. Bakit biglang pinabalik? Pagsasamahay tila nawagdi, ang dating walang hanggan nagkaroon ng katapusan. Di magbabago pagmamahal sa'yo. Sana'y pakinggan mo ang awit ng pusong ito. Oh, tulad ng mundong Loob na hindi tumitigil sa pag-agos, pag-ibig di matatapos. Pag-ibig di matatapos. Pag-ibig di matatapos.
Wish Cruises on Wish 1075.
Hi, Wishers!
This is Cara Lily, and for more Wish-clusive videos,
Click here! Click here!
click here. Click here. Click here.
Click here.
Click here.
Click here.
Click here!
Click here. Click here. Click here.
Click here! Click here!
Click here.
Click here!
Click here. Subscribe.
Pilit nating iniwasan ganitong mga tanungan.
Wish 1075.
At kahit di sigurado, tinuloy natin ang ating ugnayan. Ngayon'y naubos na ang kwentuhan, nagsimula ng magsisihan. Lahat ay parang lumabo, di alam kung saan tutungo. Sabi ko na nga ba, dapat nung una pa lamang, di na umasa, di naniwala. Hindi tayo pwede pinagtagpo, pero di tinadhana. Hindi na posible ang mga puso'y huwag nating pahirapan. Suko na sa laban, hindi tayo pwede. Hindi tayo pwede. Kay bigat na ng damdamin, bakit di pa natin aminin? Dahil sa una pa lamang, alam nating wala tayong laban. Sabi ko na nga ba, dapat nung una pa lamang, di na umasa, di naniwala. Tayo pwede pinagtagpo, pero di tinadhana. Hindi na posible ang mga puso'y huwag nating na hindi na posible ang mga puso'y wag nating pahirapan. Suko na sa laban, hindi tayo pwede. Hindi tayo pwede.
Wish Exclusive on Wish 1075.
Ayan. Nakapag-break tayo.
Hi, Wishers! We are the ones. And for more Wish exclusive videos,
Oh. Okay, let's continue our session. For the formulating of research questions, let us welcome again our resource speaker, Dr. Leia Olwa. Ayan. Ayan. Sa session natin kanina, dami nating natutunan. Ano po? Yung mga importante, pag-formulate ng AR and basic research title. Kita rin natin yung mga sample action research ni na Ma'am Blysa, Ma'am Princess, Sir Marconi, at Sir Herbert. Ako mismo, ang dami ko nga natutunan eh. Excited na ako. Okay, we're having some weak connection. Babalikan po natin ulit si Ma'am Leia mamaya. For the meantime, makinig muna tayo ng music. So,
Ay, okay na po. Okay na yung connection. Okay na. Let me present the continuation of my lecture. We now move to the research design. So actually, I will be focusing here research design and a little bit of the research and statistical tools. Para kasi I noticed some of the statistical tools written in the manuscript of the researchers during oral presentation are really not the one that should be used. So, ipo-focus ko ng konti doon mamaya. So, first, we focus here on our research design. So, in our research design, it refers to the overall strategy that you choose to integrate the different components of the study in a coherent and logical way. This is what we call the blueprint kasi dito nyo makikita, no? By just merely reading the research design, you would already know kung saan nakafocus ang study mo. Kaya tinatawag natin siyang blueprint. So you will be having here the different designs, the different approaches to research. Makikita nyo mamaya as we go on with this. No? This is one important thing to remember, no? Note that your research problem determines the type of design you can use, not the other way around. So do not say that I would like to use this design, so I'm going to conduct a research like this. No. It will emanate from the problem that you have. So, yung research design mo, ang sasama, ang makikiayon doon sa title mo, it's not the other way around. Gusto ko highfalutin siya, so I have to make use of exploratory research, I have to make use of case study, I have to make use of phenomenology, and so on and so forth. Hindi yun ang iniisip natin. Ano? It depends on the problem that you're going to have. So we have here the research approaches. Now, before we tackle the research design, we first identify the research approaches. One of which is, we have here the quantitative approach. We also have the qualitative approach. And then for the combination of the two, we have the mixed approach. So you can have both quali and quanti through mixed approach. Let us focus first on the quantitative and qualitative. Ano ba ang kaibahan ng dalawang ito, no? So for the quantitative approach, it is concerned with discovering facts about social phenomena. Kung ano yung nakikita mo. Okay? We discover the facts, but for the qualitative, it's more on the human behavior. Take note, from the informant's perspective. In qualitative approach, you do not call them as respondents. We only call them respondents kapag quantitative approach siya. But if it is already a qualitative approach, you call them informants or participants. All right, so for the quali, you get the perspective of your informants or your participants. So it's more of something very personal. No? Unlike in quantitative, so whatever facts that you have, then it's only the one that you're going to report. Medyo factual lang siya. Huwag ka dapat lilihis kung ano yung facts na nakalagay or naka-indicate doon. Okay? It's more on objective, while qualitative is more on subjective. Another one for the quantitative approach, it assumes a fixed and measurable reality. That's why you're going to make use of the statistical analysis. But for the qualitative approach, it assumes a dynamic reality. Why dynamic? Because you might be focusing on different horizons. Unlike in quantitative approach, you are boxed on a particular measure. Kung ano yun lang yung ini-study mo, dun lang siya. Nakabox siya doon. But in qualitative approach, that is dynamic because whatever the answer of your informant, kailangan ilagay mo doon. He can think of the answer to your question even under the sun, but then you have to include that. I just would like to give you a particular scenario on my study, under yung 2019 birth. It's my study is about the adjustments and coping mechanisms of former college instructors as senior high school teachers. And one of the questions there was, how are you going to cope up with these stressors, no? From your transition from college teaching to senior high school teaching. And of course I have to write down whatever they tell me. And one even said, I have sex, sabi doon. So wala akong magagawa, yun ang nilagay niyo doon, I have to include that. And hindi lang naman siya ang naglagay, may mga ibang lalaki din na naglagay, yun ang kanilang way of coping, they have sex, so I have to include that. So it's a dynamic reality. And it will stem from whatever the answer is coming from your respondents, so long that it is also related to your study. Another one, data are collected through measuring things. I think this is the same as the one I have mentioned that a while ago, that you need measurement, and how you're going to measure is through the use of the statistical tool or statistical analysis. And for the qualitative approach, data are collected through participant observation and interviews. Doon natin kinukuha. So in your interview, it would be better if you have the parang recorder, so that you will not be able to miss whatever that they will tell you. Because when you're going to present later, pag nag-present kayo, it will be according to themes. Kung ano exactly in toto being said by your informant or participant, you have to tell it as is. So if you will read later my research, ano, some of those stated some of those being stated in Tagalog, no? Kasi ganun ang pagkaka-state nila doon. So I have to state it that way. So you have to copy in toto. Okay? And the next one, for the quantitative research or approach rather, data are analyzed through comparison and statistical inferences. That's why if you will read your research, karamihan mga quantitative research ang nakalagay is what is the significant relationship, what is the significant difference, mga ganong questions, ano, because you're looking into the comparison. Okay? And for the qualitative approach, data are analyzed by themes from descriptions by informants. So whatever the responses or answers on your questions, you have to categorize them by themes. Okay, so it's more on free flowing depending on how they're going to respond to your question and depending on the point of view of your informants or respondents. So if you're going to have your interview, do not expect that ito dapat ang maging theme ng aking study. Ito dapat ang maging theme ng aking analysis. No. It depends on their responses. All right? And the last one, for quantitative approach, data are reported through statistical analysis. So you will have different statistical tools being used. Mostly, ang ginagamit is you have the percentage, you have the mean, mga t-test, ANOVA, yung mga yon. Anyway, we will run through that later, no? Pero yung mga usual statistical tools lang na ginagamit based on the research being submitted in the region. And for the qualitative approach, as to the data, these are reported in the language of the informant. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, no? The language of the informant. So whatever, how they say that should be reported as is. Hindi nyo pwedeng palitan, hindi nyo pwedeng i-rephrase. And if you notice some of the, if you come across some of the researchers also, even yung mga ganong pagsabi nila, kung minsan naka-record din, naka-specify din doon. So you have to copy in toto. You have to write in toto what your informants have told you. And of course, for the mixed approach, that is the combination of the qualitative approach and the quantitative approach. We will learn about this later. So we start first from the quantitative designs. Ito na yung design na sinasabi dito, no? And may nabasa ako kanina, no? Descriptive kay sir yata yan, ano? Ito yung research niya, may na-mention siyang descriptive a while back. So that is an example of a quantitative design using descriptive. So yun. So you have to mention also if it is a quanti or quali. So going back for the quantitative designs, I have posted here 7. You have the experimental, descriptive, correlational, predictive, comparative, ex post facto, and developmental. Okay, let us have these designs one by one. For the experimental design under quantitative, one or more subjects or dependent variables are randomly assigned to different treatments and the results are observed. And usually it is done in a controlled environment. This is being used by mostly action researchers, no? Yung gumagawa ng mga action research. So they conduct experimental wherein they have the control group, the traditional one, and the other one is the experimental group. Yan. For the types of experimental designs, we have here 3. The first one is called the repeated measures, wherein same participants take part in each condition of the independent variable. If you encounter some of the researches wherein there is the pre-test and there is the post-test, that is an example of a repeated measure. No, we refer to the same participants. Like for example, for your grade 7, section 1, for example, you give them pre-test. Then after an intervention, you're going to have, like for example, a different way of teaching them. And after which, you're going to give them a post-test. So that is an example of repeated measure. Another one is what we call the independent groups, wherein different participants are used in each condition of the independent variable. This now involves two or more sections or two or more groups na magkakaiba, no? Say for instance, grade 11 section A, grade 11 section B. Para ganun. So we refer to two participants. Another one is match pairs, wherein it is used when an experiment only has two treatment conditions. The subjects in the experiment are grouped together into pairs based on some variable they match. They match on, such as age or gender. Within each pair, okay, dun lang sa pair na yon, subjects are randomly assigned to different treatments. No? For example, there are there are two methods that you would like to see and you match. Like for example, respondent number one for group A is paired with respondent number one in group B. Respondent number 2 in group A is paired with respondent number 2 in group B, and so on and so forth. But they are given different treatment. Iba yung, like for example, iba yung ginamit na teaching method sa kabila, iba naman doon sa kabila. But we are matching by pair. For the descriptive, it aims to accurately and systematically describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. It is an appropriate choice when the research aim is to identify characteristics, frequencies, trends, and categories. So yun, i-describe mo lang siya. That's why it is called descriptive research. Now, I have here an example. No? If you want to know, if you want to describe the technical readiness of grade 10 science teachers, you can start a title like this, no? Technical readiness of grade 10 science teachers amid pandemic situation. So you're just going to describe their readiness in terms of technology. Another one is correlational, wherein it measures a relationship between two variables without the researcher controlling either of them. So it's more on the correlation. So if you notice on some of the researchers, is there a significant correlation yung mga ganon na nababasa nyo doon sa research, no? So it's more on correlational. We correlate one variable with the other variable. Let's take a look at the first this example. Technical ability and academic performance of grade 5 pupils in science using online distance learning. So in this case, you are correlating the technical ability of the students with their academic performance. You would like to see na eto ba, kung mas tech-savvy ba ang estudyante, mas mataas ang performance niya in online distance learning. So it's a relationship between the technical ability and the academic performance. Another one is the predictive. It analyzes historical and current data and generating a model to help predict future outcomes. So, an example here is socio-demographic predictors of success in the principal's test. Now, you would like to predict, no? Marami kayang papasa sa takers ng SDO Dagupan sa principal's test. So, parang yun yung question natin. We would like to predict, mataas kaya ang passing percentage ng mga takers sa SDO Dagupan? Now, here, you focus on the social demographic predictors of success. When we say social demographic, ano ba yung meron dito sa mga magti-take ng exam or nag-take na ng exam? Bakit kaya sila pumusa? Ano yung meron sa kanila? What are their profile? Are they the master teachers? Are they under teacher 3? By the way, Ma'am Vicky, ano na ngayon ang qualification to take the principal's test? Kasi alam ko, it varies from time to time eh. Before, ang pwede lang mag-take is on a particular parang position, ano? Ma'am Vicky, ano ngayon yung parang qualifying factor to take the principal's test?
Ma'am, ang alam ko po dati, maski teacher 3 qualified po.
So, picture 3 pataas. Parang ganon.
Opo, ma'am. Opo.
Okay. So we look into the socio-demographic demographic profile of our principals test takers, ano? So tingnan niyo, sino kaya ang mas maraming pumapasa? Sila ba ay galing sa teacher 3? Are they master teachers? Head teachers? Parang ganon, ano? And how many times do they take the test? Sino yung karamihang pumasa? Are they the first takers, second takers, and so on and so forth? Who among them passed the test? Sila ba ay mga male or female? And many other socio-demographic profile or characteristics that you would see, So that is an example of predictive design. You are predicting the passers or the success in passing the principal's test. All right. Another one is the comparative, wherein it identifies the similarities and differences between social entities. So, kino-compare natin yung dalawa, Dalawa lang. An example of which is the effectiveness of the independent learning modalities in the performance of grade 6 students in English. So, in this case, you are trying to find, like for example, meron tayong mga modalities of learning, Pwede tayong mag-online, pwedeng mag-modular, Halimbawa, meron tayong dalawa. And I think may addition pa pala, yung TV or radio, pero hindi yata masyadong ginagamit ito. More on modular and online tayo. So if you want to see the effectiveness of the different learning modalities in the performance of grade 6 students, you can do comparative quantitative design. Right? So we compare. By the way, hindi lang to, two or more. You are going to compare two or more social entities. For the ex post facto, groups with qualities that already exist are compared on some dependent variable. Considered quasi-experimental because the subjects are not randomly assigned. They are grouped based on a particular characteristic or trait. By the way, I'd like to make mention also, kasi na-mention na dito yung quasi-experiment and true experiment. The difference between the quasi and the true experiment is that when you are going to select your respondents in a random, halimbawa, everyone in class has the chance to be selected to become a respondent, then that is random assignment. But if you're going to select your participants in a particular study, that is an example of a quasi-experiment. All right. So going back in the ex post facto, this is an example, So here in ex post facto, you cannot control yung independent variable mo, existed na siya. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-manipulate na kasi nandun na siya. To give you to give you a wider picture on what I'm telling about, I'll give you this example, The influence of weight to the self-esteem levels of grade 12 students. Our independent variable will be the weight of the learners. Supposing, we have the three types of learners categorized into weight. The first one is the underweight. The second one is the average weight. And the third one is the overweight. So these are our independent variables, yung weight niya. So why do you say that you could not manipulate? Kasi nandun na yun eh. Yun na talaga ang weight nila. Hindi pwedeng yung underweight ay ilagay mo sa overweight. Hindi pwedeng yung average weight ilagay mo sa underweight, something like that. So given na siya, innate na siya, it already existed. No? So you want to take now uh, the influence of the way to the self-esteem levels of these students, ano, pag mas magaan ba siya, mataas ang self-esteem niya, or pag chubby ba siya or mabigat, pag overweight ba siya, mataas ang self-esteem niya or mababa. So, tingnan natin yung influence niya. So, that is an example of ex post facto research. For developmental, this is a systematic study of designing, developing, and evaluating instructional programs, processes, and products that must meet criteria of internal consistency and effectiveness. So it's more on developmental. You are going to conduct this type of research when there is, for example, a new curriculum being injected, just like in our case now, we have the BELCP, which is new to all of us, so it could be developmental. No? An example here is this implementation and effectiveness of the basic education learning continuity plan in the new normal. Because along the way, there might be developmental process that you would undertake. Ano? Kasi hindi tayo nakakahon dito. There is possibility that we go out of this box because we have seen some of the things or some of the problems in the delivery of the BELCP. That's why it's called developmental. All right, next. For the qualitative designs, I have here listed 5. The first one is the narrative, phenomenological, the grounded theory, case study, and the ethnography. For the narrative, so it's more on the narration, ano, yung mga historical research, dito siya nagfo-fall. So it encompasses the study of the experiences of individuals, embracing stories of the life, and exploring the learned significance of those individual experiences. So when you have this narrative, you can have the field notes, the journal records, interview transcripts, and so on and so forth. So any other form that would give you parang picture on how you will be able to narrate. No, it could be different, the documents available that they can give you. So those are examples of the things that you can use in narrating the this type of design. An example of which is here. The experiences of grade 10 science teachers on social media support for the basic education learning continuity plan. So they are just going to tell you the experiences using different platforms, so long as it is related to the new normal, so long as it's related to the technology that they're using, you know. So that is an example of narrative. So you just let the science teachers explain, expound about their experiences, and it could be anything under the sun. When I say anything under the sun, you have to capture everything that they tell you, so long as these experiences relate to their teaching of science under the BELCP. Next one is the phenomenology. Under this, it focuses on the commonality of a lived experience within a particular group in a given phenomena. So before you can take this study, there should be a particular phenomena. There is a particular issue. One example is the phenomena that we are encountering right now, that we are under this pandemic situation. That is one phenomena. For example, binaha yung mga estudyante. That is an example of a phenomena. Or you can study a particular student na nasunugan. Yung fire, yung nangyaring incident, that's an example of phenomena. So that is being categorized under this design. All right. So for this example, the phenomena is the pandemic situation. So for the first example, experiences of teachers as COVID-19 patients. Are there teachers who were caught with this type of with this virus? So we can interview them and determine their experiences during the time that they caught this type of virus. Ano? So that's an example. Another one is pedagogical encounters of primary teachers amid pandemic, no? How are they going to teach, ano, yung mga kinder to grade 3? How are they going to approach the learners? How are they going to teach these learners? So it's a different encounter as compared to teaching in higher grade levels, ano, kasi sa kanila medyo kakaiba talaga, ano, mahirap kunin yung attention nila, mahirap kunin how can you teach this grade levels when in fact you are under the new normal. It's more on using modules. Paano mo tuturo ang magbasa? Perhaps this is more of the tandem now of the parents and the teachers. Ano, kailangan natin ang help ng parents dito, especially so that at this age baka may mga tantrums pa yung mga bata. So here you would like to determine the pedagogical encounters of primary teachers in this situation that we are in. Now, as to the sample size, some authors would give a varying number, no? Just like Creswell would tell the number of respondents or the number of participants or informants that you will have is between 5 to 25. According to Morse, it should be at least 6, and Boyd should be 2 to 10. Actually, it doesn't matter how many, no? So long as you have reached the saturation point. Are you familiar with the term saturation point? It is the time that you are already at the peak that no matter how many respondents that you're going to add, ganun pa rin ang lumalabas sa study mo. So, ibig sabihin, it's useless to keep on asking, it's useless to keep on interviewing other participants kasi parehas na constant na yung lumalabas sa study mo because you have reached the saturation point. So that is one thing that you should remember in a qualitative research. You think of the saturation point. Ayun. Kung nakuha mo na yung trend, then stop ka na sa number of participants mo or the number of informants. All right? The next one is the grounded theory. A set of procedures used to generate systematically a theory that explains at a broad conceptual level a process about a substantive topic. This methodology is appropriate when little is known about a phenomena. Like for example, ano, you have noticed that many of those enrolled in junior high school and senior high school, marami na sa kanila ang mga nabubuntes, no? Mga pregnant teenagers, mga estudyante, no? So you might want to determine or you might want to establish a theory behind this. Bakit kaya? Bakit sa mga ganyang edad maraming nabubuntes or maraming hindi nakakatuloy sa pag-aaral because of their situation? So you can have a theory out of that. So it could be under grounded theory as an approach. As an example, I have here measuring performance of highly proficient teachers, the grounded theory approach. So you might want to establish a theory about the performance of highly proficient teachers. I think these are the teachers under, I don't know, master teacher category. Tama ba, Ma'am Vicky? Highly proficient, yung mga master teachers.
Yes po, ma'am.
All right. So does that necessarily mean that since they are master teachers, they have high performance because that is what is expected of them? Or are these the teachers who are getting low performance because most of these teachers are nearing retirement? Parang ganun, no? So you can establish a grounded theory approach for this type of research. Another one is the case study. This is the in-depth investigations of a single person, a group, event, or the community, used to generate an in-depth, multifaceted understanding of a complex issue in its real-life context. So in case study, you don't have to go through many respondents. Actually, one is enough. So long as you will be able to get a grasp of the in-depth study of this particular person. So hindi siya yung mababaw lang. You have to dig and dig and dig and dig deeper so that you can come up with the whole picture. Okay, an example of which is here, struggles of senior citizen teachers amid pandemic situation. So you can look for senior citizens who are still teaching, who are still active in the service, and identify their struggles. No, so you are going to limit only on a particular group of teachers at kailangan konti lang. Gaano ka konti yung konti? Just like I have said, you can have one, you can have two, siguro until five, pwede na rin, ano? Hindi po pwede ng masyadong marami. Because once you have gone through so many participants, it would be harder for you to do the analysis and interpretation anymore. Kasi masyadong napakarami, na masyadong broad, no? Although you are talking only to a particular person or two persons or three persons, the study is, the investigation is very deep, that you have so many angles to check. You have so many dimensions, you have so many horizons to check. So kailangan konti lang yung mga respondents mo doon. Okay? Very deep kasi yung detail, very detailed and discussion dito sa case study. What is the difference between phenomenology and case study? They're almost the same, only that mas broader, mas wider, mas intensive pagdating sa case study. Kaya mas kukonti. Unlike in phenomenology, that's why you can have 5 or even greater kasi medyo mas mababaw siya ng konti. Next one, the ethnography. Researcher observe and or interact with the participants in their real life environment. I just would like to share with you the study of my board mate or dorm mate before when I was still studying in college. Siyempre matagal na yun, no? College pa, no? The study of that person before was about the life experiences of yung mga beggars. So doon nakafocus. So what that student did was he went to Quiapo, nagpunta sa Quiapo and acted like a beggar. So namali mo siya, in short, namali mo siya sa Quiapo. It's a way of determining or observing kung ano ba ang feeling ng isang beggar. So it's part of parang participatory research siya, no? Kasama siya doon. Okay? Another one is if you want to find the life experiences of those students na andun sa iPad, mga indigenous people, you can live with them. You can go to their place, act like them, dress like them, eat with them. Ganun ang mangyayari. Parang the researcher is also a participant. Kasama siya doon. He or she will involve himself or herself. All right. An example here is madrasa education, school culture, and organizational climate. So, if you will be conducting a research related to this, you have to go to their place. And when we say you have to go to their place, hindi pwedeng isang beses ka lang pupunta doon. You have to spend some time to be with them for quite a while so that you will be able to identify the culture, the organizational climate. So that is the ethnography. And then we also have here the mixed approach designs. It could be sequential or concurrent. For the sequential, we have here two methods. It's either sequential explanatory and the other one is sequential exploratory. So, kaya nga sinasabing sequential because it runs in sequence. Ibig sabihin, the first, then the second. Magkasunod sila. Hindi mo pwedeng i-gather yung data ng sabay. Alright? For the sequential explanatory, we start with the quantitative data first, and then out of the quantitative data, you will come up with the qualitative phase. So, ibig sabihin, for the quantitative data, you may conduct a survey first. Then after that survey, you're going to conduct, say, for instance, an interview for the qualitative phase. And for the sequential exploratory naman, baliktad siya. It's the other way around. You are going to start with the qualitative data, after which the result of the qualitative data, the themes that you could extract, will be the one to be as input, will be the one as input into the quantitative data. An example of which is the research which I conducted 2019, ano, and nasa final phase na kami sa journal writing. My research is about the sequential exploratory, wherein I focused on the adjustments and coping mechanisms of former college instructors as senior high school teachers. So ang ginawa ko muna, no, so I started with the quali approach, wherein I crafted the questions. It's an interview guide, no? So I had an interview with the respondents or participants rather. Then, based from their responses, I was able to call out different themes. Mula doon sa theme na na-call out ko, tsaka pa lang ako nakagawa ng question, which is a survey question. Magiging quantitative na siya. So, ibig sabihin, the quantitative question or the survey question depends on the responses of the participants in the quali. So, doon ka magbabase. Hindi siya separately na kinakandak na ito yung gagawin kong question sa quantitative, ito yung gagawin kong question sa qualitative. No. The quantitative questions or the survey questions depend on the answers in the qualitative. All right? So that is the sequential exploratory. So ito yung example na binigay ko no kanina. This is my research for birth 2019 grant. Another one is the concurrent, wherein you can have a simultaneous gathering of quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously, and then you integrate the two. So pwedeng kombinasyon, pwede mong pagsabayin yung dalawa simultaneously. It's not one is dependent on the other. Okay? Pwedeng pagsabayan. An example of which is this: teachers' attitude toward inclusion of students with autism in the general classroom. So you can gather simultaneously both the quantitative questions and the qualitative questions. So that is an example of concurrent design. I think we're done with the research design. Ito, pahapyawan ko na lang yung data analysis. Ano? These are some of the most common questions being asked in your research question, and these are the common answers. Ano? Ito. The first question is, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of the following? What is the age, the sex, and the highest educational attainment? So in this case, you are just going to categorize, ano? How many of your teachers, for example, the respondents or the teachers, how many of them are age 20 to 30? Ay, for a while lang, may important call ako. For a while lang, ha? For a while. Hello, are you still there? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Opo.
Sorry po ha for that. Because we're having physical examination. Tapos na ako tapos na ako kahapon, lahat-lahat, CBC and everything. Meron pa palang pap smear, magpa-pap smear daw ako, paalis na yung doctor. And I tell them, siguro, 10 minutes. Anyway, patapos na tayo, 10 minutes na lang, aalis na daw yung doctor. And then, nasa last ka na tayo, ilang slides na lang ito, no? So, again, going back for the data analysis, if the question is this, you're talking about the profile of the respondents, this is more of categorical, ano yung category ng age? Halimbawa, from 20 to 30, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and so on. So you get the category, you just count, no, kaya tinatawag na frequency and percentage, how many are in this bracket? So frequency, then you change that to, convert that to percentage. Kaya tinatawag na frequency and percentage. Same is true with sex, categorical, no, either male or female. You just count the number of male and the number of female, then get the percentage. Same is true with the educational attainment, no? The college graduate, the master rate, and so on. So categorical siya, kaya frequency and percentage. Another question is, what is the performance of students in Science 8? So when we say performance, you are going to get the average performance of the whole students. For example, in Science 8, in one section, you just get the average, ano? Halimbawa, no, ang grade ng isang estudyante is 79, yung isa 80, next we have 95, and so on and so forth. You just get the average. So, ang data analysis na gagamitin natin ay mean. Alright, or the average. Another one, what is the level of adjustment of teachers on the online delivery of instruction? Level of adjustment. So when we say level of adjustment, you are going to make use of scale. Pwede yung Likert scale, ano? So you can have 4-point or 3-point Likert scale. Yung maging nilalagyan natin yung mga check na yon. Okay? So analyze that type of data, the Likert scale, you can do that using the mean also, or the average. Next one, is there a significant difference between the performance of graded Mendel students using modular and online distance learning? So, sinong estudyante, isang group ng estudyante bang pinag-uusapan natin? Yes, sila yung graded Mendel students. No? Since we're talking only of one group ng estudyante, halimbawa, no, grade 10 Mendel students will be having modular. Next, after a week, for example, they will be having the same students, we're referring to the same students, they will be having the online distance learning. Then, i-compare natin yung performance nila using the modular and using online. So, the type of data analysis will be paired t-test or what we call the dependent t-test. Why paired? Kasi sila rin lang ang pinagpapares mo. Or we call it also dependent kasi dito yung nagkakamali yung ibang researchers, sinasabi nila independent. So when you talk of the same students, same participants, you call it paired t-test or dependent t-test. Next, is there a significant difference between the performance in science of grade 10 Mendel and grade 10 Hawking students? So in this question, you are dealing with two groups of students, no? Yung section Mendel and section Hawking. So in this case, we talk of different groups of students. The data analysis will be independent t-test. Pag magkaiba, independent. Kapag parehas, dependent or paired. Next, is there a significant difference between the performance in science of grade 10 Mendel in pre-test and post-test? So again, we talk of the same students or the same participants, only that they will have their pre-test and they will have their post-test. So the data analysis will be paired t-test or dependent t-test. Meron pa ba? Last na yata ito. The last one is there a significant difference between the performance in science of grade 10 Mendel and grade 10 Hawking students in the post-test? So we are talking about the two groups of students. So the data analysis will be independent t-test. I think we still have one pa pala. Last na yata talaga to. Last na. For this one, is there a significant difference in the academic performance of students using the modular, online, and TV radio modalities of learning? So in this case, I we have to focus here, two two types of variables. The first variable is the academic performance. And the academic performance could be ano yung nakukuha nating grade, mga 79, mga 80, 95, which is an example of a scale. Scale lang tawag doon when it comes to levels of measure, no? Pagdating naman sa types of learning modalities, mayroon tayong tatlo, no? The modular, online, TV, or radio. Now, in this case, this is a categorical. Like for example, you have assigned 1 for modular, number 2 for online, and number 3 for TV, radio. So, which is an example of a categorical. Now, in this case, you are going to analyze using one-way ANOVA. Okay, so your independent variable will be the modalities, and your dependent variable will be their academic performance, right? Tingnan mo, mas magagaling kaya ang mga estudyante kapag under siya ng modular? Tingnan mo yung academic performance. Or mas matataas kaya ang score nila pagdating pag-online yung mga bata? Okay, i-check mo. And here, in this case, we are talking to 3 different sets of students. Ibig sabihin, ibang grupo ng estudyante ang under ng modular, ibang grupo ang under ng online, ibang grupo ang TV, radio. So that is the use, we can use now the one-way ANOVA for this type of question. Okay, thank you so much. That's the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Leia Onua. That was really a very thorough and brilliant presentation from you. I am sure all of my, well, peers here would agree just how much each one of us has learned greatly from your lecture. Ma'am, would you like for us to have the, I know you, apparently you're having your physical examination pala, ma'am, ano? Would you
Sige,
still like...
group picture na tayo. Sige,
group picture na ba? Okay, so...
tayo naman.
Okay.
Paalis.
Group picture. Sige po, ma'am. Alright.
So I can excuse myself.
Ma'am, ano na muna, mag-picture muna kami sa inyo. So, can everyone please turn on now your video? Wow.
Ayan.
Ayan.
Paki-open po yung video natin.
Picture na.
Para sa ating group pictures.
Thank you so much, ma'am, talaga. I'll have my text to you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ay, sorry. Rose, picture na ako.
Great.
Ano ba? Dito, dito. Yan. Isa pa po. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Ma'am Leila. Thank you, everyone. But we listen before we, end our session. We listen to the words of challenge of our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent.
Ma'am, shall I excuse myself now?
For this webinar,
Yes, Ma'am Leia. Thank you po.
Thank you po. May we now ask our technical working group to show to us the message of our ESDS through a video clip.
Okay, let us hear the words of challenge from our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Aguidosi Fernandez, Associates.
Program owner, participants, good morning in the new normal. At the outset, may I be allowed to convey my thanks and congratulations to all of you for having attended and participated in the division webinar in preparing action basic research under the new normal. Having this new normal, it opens opportunities for traditional research to prosper, considering that the health situation is changing. Thank you for it. I commend the initiatives and leadership of the SQD Research and Planning Unit in coming up with this learning and development to capacity our researchers, let it know what the research agenda in this COVID-19 pandemic. No normal creates new learning opportunities. Searching for effective learning modality suitable for the new situation. Several adjustments were was provided to have the migration successful. Migration from normal to new normal. My dear friends, we have a new learning environment, and that we have to admit. What we need to do is to live and to adapt with it. If you think you are hesitant to try new systems, approaches, methodologies, and interventions, have the faith and courage. Anyway, we have the research to help us see the effects, the impacts, and facilitates us to make decisions. Therefore, let's embrace the change brought about by this pandemic. Likewise, let's make use of our new learned skills in keeping the research and innovation environment in the open city level up, and let's promote the culture of research in each of the four corners of the community. Teachers and school heads should deal with research to answer questions beyond unanswerable by their technologies. It's a fun and count research as a friendly companion for our growth and development. Kung nakain ka, ang sagot yan, may research na yan. Thank you and more power. Keep safe, everyone.
Yan. Thank you very much po, Sir Aguido C. Fernandez, ang ating Assistant Schools Division Superintendent. For sure, marami po tayong natutunan ngayong araw na ito. At syempre, nakaka-excite mag-conduct ng research. Pati ako, kahit hindi ako researcher, excited na akong mag-research. Ayan. Okay. So, bago po natin tapusin ang ating webinar, i-turn over ko muna yung microphone sa ating program proponent, ang ating Senior Education Program Specialist, Dr. Vicky S. Antonio.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Irish. Again, on behalf of the Schools Division Office Staff Management, headed by our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Maria Celia Junio Fernandez, Mr. Aguido C. Fernandez, our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, our Chief of the Schools Governance and Operations Division, Ma'am Linda Ventanilla, and of course our EPS also from the SGOD, Dr. Marisa Perez, and the rest of the technical working group through the SGOD HRD headed by Ma'am Irish and Sir Paul, our planning officer, and to all my colleagues, peers at the office. Thank you very much to all of you. But certainly, we would like to thank again very, very much our brilliant resource speaker, Dr. Leia Liwanag Olwa, our Education Program Supervisor at the PPRD Regional Office 1 of the DepEd. Ma'am, thank you so much. We owe you so greatly of this opportunity given us for you to share your expertise on research writing under this new normal. And also, of course, to all the participants, you know you are a select group. There are only 20 of you because clearly you have shown your interest in proposing your respective researches, be it an action research or basic. May we just then encourage all of you to really go for it so that we can help others in this particular context that we have. And so with that, may I remind everyone, number one, to please accomplish the online survey that is going to be sent through this uh, group, no, the chat room as well as the group chat for webinar on AR basic research preparation. At the same time, we will be awaiting your sample AR titles or basic research titles along with your research questions until the end of the day through my email address, mariavictoria.antonio@deped.gov.ph. So we thank you, and of course, not to forget our very brave presenters, again, to Ma'am Glyza of the DCNHS Junior High School Division, Ma'am Grace Kim of the DCNHS Senior High School Division, on of course, Sir Marconita Roma, our principal of the Caral National High School, and may humabol, no? Sir Herbert Perez of DCNHS Junior High School Division. And to everyone, we thank you for staying on and closely listening to the lecture of Dr. Olwa. Thank you very much once again. Happy weekend, and don't forget November 1 na sa linggo. Kaya pray for your well beloved dead ones. Thank you very much again. Thank you SDO Dagupan.
Ayan. Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky Antonio. Yung link po, evaluation link po natin nasa chat box na po, nandun na rin po sa ating messenger group chat. Ayan. Thank you very much, Sir Isagani. Okay, this is Iris Solis with Sir Paul Robillos and Dr. Vicky Antonio, now signed, and Sir, syempre, from IT unit, Sir Bruce De La Cruz, now signing off from SDO Dagupan City. Bye-bye!